My name is Xu Jingming, and I got transmigrated to this world of supernatural martial arts. People's screams rose all around me, and giant monsters flooded the streets, destroying everything. They destroyed my home and injured my parents, and robbed me of everything. As for me, I awakened an ability of the lowest rank, E rank. Just a super weak electric ability. It was truly a hellish start. Some bully started making fun of me, calling me a genius, saying my ability was useless, but at least it makes me a human power bank. And he started imagining me on the battlefield, charging everyone's phones. I muttered angrily, "A power bank?" But he kept mocking me, saying I should quit this field immediately. Then another student joined him, wondering about the use of an E-rank ability, saying it's only good for offering myself as a snack to the monsters. As I clenched my fists, I felt someone's hand touching mine. It was my female classmate. She reminded me of the upcoming combat test and said she'd be by my side, explaining that we could form a team together. I thanked the class president for her kindness, but I wondered to myself, after all this transmigration, will I just be a useless person, waiting for the day monsters devour him? I remembered the past and wished that back then, I was just a little bit stronger. I can't accept this fate. And in that moment of despair, a weird screen popped up in front of me. System confirmation in progress. Then, system activated successfully, and starter pack distributed. Congratulations, you've obtained an S-rank ability. The ability was Divine Thunderstrike, and the system asked if I wanted to receive it. A system. I got my own cheat. Will I finally get strong? I rushed back home, and asked the system to open the starter pack. A notification appeared. I got 200 ability points, and the S-rank ability is being received. 200 ability points, and an S-rank ability, on the whole national level. No, even on a global scale. There aren't even 10 people who possess an ability of this rank. I started merging with my new ability. Suddenly, purple lightning filled the sky outside. People on the street wondered in confusion about what was happening. The weather forecast said today would be sunny, but the sky turned pitch black. Someone thought a powerful thunder-type monster was attacking the city, but there were no alarms sounding. In my room, the fusion was painful and intense, and the system showed that the process was almost complete. Finally, my fusion with the S-rank ability was complete, and the sky outside returned to normal. I stood up feeling powerful, with some damage in my room. So this is S-rank power. This feeling of controlling destruction is incredible. This is the power someone like me should have. Then I asked the system about the use of the 200 points. The system replied that ability points are used to directly level up my abilities, whether it's my attributes, skills, or superpowers, and that I should use the system panel to do that. I opened the system panel, and my name, level, and S-rank ability popped up. It also showed my physical and spiritual stats and combat skills. The martial arts exam was approaching, and I had 200 points. I know very well that physical and spiritual strength are the foundation of every fighter. Only with a solid foundation can I handle more power. So I decided to use my points right away. I ordered the system to add the points. The process completed, and my physical and spiritual strength went up. I felt immense power rushing through my body. It felt amazing. I think with just one punch now, I could beat 2 versions of my old self. I wondered how strong my current body was. When combined with an S-rank ability, how far has my power reached, I wonder? I decided to go to the martial arts hall to test myself. At least I'll know my real level. In the training hall, I unleashed my energy and aimed a powerful strike at the target. My attack caused a massive explosion, and the power meter showed a shocking number, 3012. 3000. That's a power rivaling a first-grade fighter. Is this the true terror of an S-rank ability? But I know this isn't my limit. I took out my spear and used my skill, Lightning Storm Pierce. The explosion was even bigger this time. The measuring machine broke down from the sheer force, so this is S-rank power. Martial arts exam, here I come. Somewhere else in the hall, a girl felt the vibration. Someone wondered if it was an earthquake. Another girl asked what was going on. Did one of the machines blow up? Everyone was shocked. Someone thought a high-level fighter was testing a new move. One of them noticed the vibration came from Zone C, which was the exact same direction I went to. But Zone C is a beginner's training area, only used by high schoolers and quasi-fighters. The power we felt could never be unleashed by a normal student. The girl whispered to herself, "It can't possibly be him." A red-haired guy said, "Let's go take a look. Maybe some legend is testing a new skill." When the door opened, they found me walking out of the room. The girl was shocked as she said my name. Was it really him? The guy recognized me and said sarcastically, "Isn't this my E-rank relative?" Then he asked why I came out so quickly. "Did the noise just now scare you?" I just looked at him coldly, and my glare flustered him. Then the girl asked me what happened inside. I answered casually, "Nothing. The machine malfunctioned and caused a short circuit." Of course, they didn't believe me. The guy said, "Do you think we're idiots? A short circuit couldn't possibly make all that noise." They opened the door to take a look, and everyone was shocked by the terrifying sight. The training room was completely destroyed. The blonde girl couldn't say a word. The guy yelled, "Is this a short circuit? It looks like a missile hit the place." The 2 girls wondered again, could he really be the one who did this? How is this possible? Isn't his ability just E rank? On exam day, we arrived at a military base in the desert. A soldier ordered us to get off the trucks quickly, so all the students hurried down. A female officer told us to keep quiet. Then a man showed up, introducing himself as the exam's commander-in-chief. His name was Wang Haiyang. He said he wouldn't waste time on empty talk. Since you're all standing here, you must be ready. This isn't a playground, it's a battlefield. He was an intimidating commander indeed. He explained that the exam site is an abandoned town, and it's divided into 4 zones. The outer green zone mostly has unranked monsters. It's a zone suitable for most students. As for the middle yellow zone, it has low-tier first-grade monsters. And the core red zone, it's dominated by high-tier first-grade monsters. Finally, the dark red zone in the center. There's a second-grade monster guarding it, and that's the arena meant for true geniuses. Outer, middle, and core zones. Interesting. This sounds really fun. If it were the old me, I wouldn't have dared to fight anywhere but the outer zone. But now things are completely different. All these monsters are nothing but ability points to me. Nearby, a student saw a massive monster. His buddy yelled, "Are you kidding me? This rhino is a first-grade monster. How did it show up in the outer zone?" The panicked student screamed, "I'm done for. Is this year's exam this hard? My power doesn't even cross 90. Then another student showed up and called them trash, and said mockingly, "So what?" This was Chu Mingyang, the guy with the B rank ability, and he said if they couldn't handle this monster, then even if they got into the ability university by sheer luck, they'd be nothing but monster food on the battlefield. The girls were whispering that a warrior must fight for his chance at life. Chu continued his mockery, saying, "If you're scared of dying, go back to your mommies." The scared students recognized him. He's the genius from Zhangcheng First High. I heard he awakened a B rank ability called Swift Light Wind. The panicked student said, "He's a B rank master. How can we even compare to him?" I whispered to myself, his dialogue is a bit childish, but he wasn't entirely wrong. The path of martial arts demands competition, and cowardice has no place here. A girl scoffed at Chu. Why is he acting so arrogant? It's just a B-rank talent, and he's already bragging about it. It would be fun to watch him freak out later. The commander looked at his watch, announced the start of the martial arts exam, and ordered the students to enter. Everyone dashed enthusiastically towards the gate. They were yelling that they'd do their absolute best for the ability university, and that they'd make a name for themselves. I gripped my spear and said, "Let the hunting trip begin." I faced monsters along my path, and killed them with total ease. Then I faced the massive armored rhino. I leaped high into the air, and stabbed it right in the eye. The giant beast crashed to the ground, a lifeless corpse. I caught my breath after the fierce battle. My system showed my points were 200, and after the fight, they went up to 213. 213 points just for taking on this rhino. Even though I killed it using the power of my S-rank ability, my spear-wielding technique still needs some polishing. My current skills still aren't enough to face stronger monsters. I looked at the system panel, and since I had enough points, I decided to upgrade my skills immediately. I felt a new strength coursing through my body and my spear. It was an advanced upgrade. By combining this skill with my physical strength and superpower, even second-grade monsters won't pose a threat to me. Time to face the really big monsters. I heard a cry for help. The class president can't hold on. My classmates were fighting a tough monster, and one said, "Damn, is this the power of a first-grade monster?" Another yelled at them, "Run, quick!" The voice sounded familiar. I think it's the class president and her team. It's fine. The class president is a good person. Plus, I need a bit of an audience to witness the power of my upgraded spear technique. So I sprinted towards them. Someone was screaming, begging the class president for help, stressing that he couldn't hold on any longer. He asked in a panic what they could do, convinced they were absolutely going to die there. The class president shouted at them to shut up, assuring them they weren't dead yet, telling them not to lose their cool. She told them she'd distract the monsters and asked them to look for any chance to escape, ready to sacrifice herself. Her teammate warned her with a scream, saying, "Watch out!" And another classmate yelled, warning the class president to be careful. At that moment, I appeared in front of them, but she realized she couldn't dodge the attack. I quickly jumped in the air and aimed my spear at the monster that was about to pounce on her. My strike created a massive purple explosion. My classmates were shocked by my power. I landed on the ground and said, "Looks like your situation isn't too good." One of them called my name in shock. I looked at them confidently, then turned to the remaining monsters. The class president shouted my name, warning me to run away fast, insisting I was no match for them. I ignored her warning and stepped towards the monsters. And I said, readying myself, that this is great, and I'll sacrifice them to my spear. I charged at the monsters and delivered a heavy stab right into one's mouth. The monster instantly dropped dead. The system showed I gained 10 ability points. Then I kept fighting, and in mere moments, I wiped out all the monsters. The class president couldn't believe what she saw. I asked them, panting, if they were okay. Meanwhile, the officials were monitoring the students' performance. Someone pointed at Chu Mingyang's screen, who got 412 points. Another person praised him, calling him good, and expressing huge admiration for the kid for being truly awesome. 412 points. He's taking first place by a wide margin, just as expected from a B-rank talent. But someone noticed something weird on my screen. He yelled, "Look at that student named Xu Jingming." At that very moment, my rank was jumping up fast, from 100th place to 70th, then to 45th. One of the proctors noticed I'm from the second high school, and I made it to 45th place. He couldn't believe his eyes. The principal asked about the identity of this dark horse from Zhao Yao's class, and the latter replied saying he'd never heard of him. But the principal himself was puzzled, as another school's principal turned to his colleague, Teacher Sun, who was in charge of my class, asking if this was his secret weapon, adding that he hid him so well he had no idea he even existed. However, Teacher Sun got flustered, denying it and saying there's no student by that name in his class. I thought he was a genius from a regular class. Meanwhile, my rank hit 15th place. Yeah, that's me. My teacher was shocked. How is this possible? Isn't his ability E rank? This was impossible. The director of education, Zhang Wenshan, asked in bewilderment if that was an E rank ability. He reached 15th place in just 1 minute. This means that in a very short amount of time, he killed no less than 20 first-grade monsters. The director ordered them to bring my file immediately, so my data popped up on the screen. The director asked my teacher, Mr. Chen, "Is he from your class? What's his real ability?" Mr. Chen stammered, confirming to the director that his ability really is E rank, just some weak electricity. That's what's clearly written in his file. Everyone was blown away by this info. On the battlefield, I was surrounded by monsters. I unleashed all my power. This is the feeling I want. Infinite power. In seconds, all the monsters around me dropped dead, and then I faced an even stronger monster. With a single strike, I finished them off. Elsewhere, my friends were watching the explosion from afar. The red-haired guy asked in shock if that was really an E-rank power. The blonde girl scoffed, saying even an A-rank ability isn't this strong. Somewhere else, 3 people wearing black cloaks appeared in front of me. I told them with a smile that it was their turn now. Their leader replied, admitting that Jiangcheng City was hiding someone like me, and acknowledging that they had underestimated me. Then he continued with a wicked smile, explaining that dying by his hands is an honor for me. One of them said with a crazy laugh, "Killing a genius like you will make me even more pumped." Then they all chanted, "Since we've accepted our fate, long live the heavenly god." One of them yelled, "Die, kid!" and they all attacked me, but I blocked their attack. Then I plunged my spear into the ground and let loose a powerful thunderbolt. I said mockingly, "Is this all the power the Heavenly Destiny sect has?" One of them told their leader, "Bro, this kid's lightning is really annoying." So they had to end the fight quickly, because the space barrier wouldn't hold up for long. Don't waste any more time on him. Meanwhile, the class president told her classmates, "We can't let him fight alone. Let's go help him." But the villain leader sneered, "Just worthless students, daring to interfere." Then he ordered one of his men, Number 3, "Go get rid of them." So my friends clashed with Number 3, but they were no match for him at first. Then he got injured. While I was fighting the other 2, I threw my lightning-charged spear. One of them screamed, "What? Such speed!" But he couldn't dodge the attack, and got severely injured. Then he saw his hands were burned. Elsewhere, the armed forces were trying to break the space barrier, and their commander yelled, "Don't stop! Open fire! Every passing second means a better chance for another student's survival." Suddenly the sky went dark, and the soldiers wondered what was happening inside. Then a giant purple dragon appeared in the sky. Everyone was stunned by this sight, wondering what was going on. It was lightning. The commanders wondered, which student awakened such terrifying thunder power? This is impossible. Even an A-rank thunder ability couldn't change the weather like this. Then a massive thunderbolt struck the space barrier and smashed it to pieces. The sky went back to normal. My teacher wondered, could it be him? But he's just an E-rank student. I must be imagining things. At that moment, the surviving students walked out of the battlefield. The commander asked them, "What happened inside? And where are the others?" A student answered him crying, "Many died. There were men in black cloaks killing everyone." Another said, "In the core zone, I saw super intense energy fluctuations. Looks like there's a battle going on there." The commander ordered his men, "Follow me. Rescue team, treat the injured immediately, and count the survivors." On the battlefield, I summoned the Thunder Dragon. The villain leader was shocked. "What is this?" Then the dragon unleashed a lightning beam, hitting him directly. He fell to the ground severely injured. He said with difficulty, "What a pity. I was so close. But after using a move like that, you must have exhausted all your strength by now." I smiled and said, "Now it's my turn." He threatened me saying, "I'll tear you to pieces." But I commanded my system, "Add points for me." So energy surged through my body once again. The villain leader was shocked. How is this possible? I used my skill, Lightning Storm Pierce, and lunged at him with incredible speed, and finished him off in one hit. With a single strike, my lightning-clad spear pierced their leader's body. Shock painted his face as he wondered how this was possible. He couldn't believe I had this kind of power. Then he dropped to the ground, dead. I stood there looking at him coldly after settling the fight, but my body couldn't take it, and I fainted from sheer exhaustion. The soldiers found me unconscious on the ruined battlefield. I woke up a while later to find myself in a hospital room. I opened my eyes, still feeling the aftermath of the battle. My aunt, Shu Qinghuan, was sitting next to me. I realized my spiritual power was completely drained. I promised myself never to be this reckless again. My aunt noticed I woke up and rushed to me happily. She asked anxiously how I was doing and feeling, and wanted to know if I was hurt anywhere. I reassured her saying I'm fine, Auntie, and told her it's nothing more than extreme exhaustion. She thanked God for my survival. My aunt started scolding me worriedly after Cheeky told her what happened. She said we faced evil sect followers, and that I stepped in to save the day and ended up in the hospital. She asked if I realized the amount of danger. She almost died of worry over me. I tried to interrupt her to calm her down, and told her I'm fine and unharmed. At that moment, the door opened and the principal and my teacher walked in. The principal walked up to me, saying he's here representing the school. In fact, representing Zhangcheng's entire education sector to thank me. He told me I didn't just bring pride to the school, but I was the hero who saved all the students' lives. Then my teacher stepped forward, calling my name, proudly telling me I ranked first in the entire Jiangnan province. I was surprised by the news and asked, "First in the province?" He explained that the army swept the battlefield and recalculated everyone's points. So the monsters I wiped out, and the 5 sect members I defeated, brought my final score to 10,000 points. Then the principal spoke up again, saying I'm now a target all major universities are fighting over, and I just have to wait for them to come with the best offers, and they'll come straight to me. I addressed the principal first, then my teacher, thanking them for their care, and assured them I got the picture. The principal smiled and said, "Good," asking me to rest well and take care of my health. Then they left the room. My aunt went back to scolding me again, tears in her eyes. She said I was recklessly bold, and clashing with sect followers was a dangerous move, asking what if something bad happened to me. How would she face my parents then? I held her hand to reassure her, and reminded her that I'm unharmed. Plus, I ranked first in the province. She wiped her tears, saying that really is good news. I smiled and replied, "Yeah," assuring her that I'm now number 1. She said proudly that I've finally become someone dependable, and the Shu family now has a strong successor. Then she mentioned my cousin, Cheeky, who ranked 12th in the city, while I ranked first in the province. My final score showing on the screen is 10,000 points. She said we were both amazing, and promised that when I recover, she'll head home and cook us some delicious food. Elsewhere, top universities were holding a student admission meeting. Admissions director Zhang Zhaoyang said as usual, they'd start by reviewing the top students in each province. Qingjing City's data popped up on the screen, showing the name of student Chu Yi. He was 18 years old, ranked first in his city with a score of 9,343 and an A-rank enhancement ability. A clip played showing him using his bronze body ability to easily defeat a first-grade monster. One official commented on his ability. Another said it's considered a very solid ability among A-ranks. Someone added that his use of his ability was highly mastered. The admissions director said Chu Yi's name and gave his final verdict, special admission, A+ category. Then he ordered Professor Wang Jian to personally handle going and negotiating with him. Professor Wang agreed. Then the director moved on to the next student. Jiangnan Province's name popped up on the screen, and my data was displayed. First place, Xu Jingming, with a perfect 10,000 points. Seeing my score, all the admissions officers were dumbfounded. One of them repeated in shock, 10,000 points. Then he added excitedly that a true monster has appeared this year in Jiangnan Province. Another wondered about my city, Zhangcheng. It was an unknown city to him. He even thought the province's capital was Ning'an City. The system started displaying my basic info. I'm 18 years old. Then it showed I have a low E-rank natural ability. The profile confirmed my ability is just weak electricity, and that my level is nothing more than newly awakened. This glaring contradiction threw the room into chaos and amazement. The director stepped in to remind them that their system EVA is an advanced AI, and a system like this can't make mistakes. He ordered everyone to stay calm, and said they must first watch the video recording of my exam. Only then will the whole truth become clear to them. The video started showing a scene of me unleashing a massive purple lightning force against one of the monsters. They were all shocked, shouting in unison, "Impossible!" One female official confirmed that this power could never be E-rank. The director called the EVA system again with a serious tone, and issued an order to analyze my true ability level immediately. The system announced the analysis was complete, and the result was shocking to everyone. There's an 83% chance my ability is S rank. Their looks went from confusion to extreme excitement. The video kept playing to show the overwhelming power I displayed in the exam. The director made his decision instantly and promoted me to Special Admission S+ category. Then he slammed his fist on the table, asserting that my admission must be secured at any cost, and yelled enthusiastically that they have to get me into their university. Then he decided to go himself to finish the deal, saying, "I'll go myself." Meanwhile, I was training in the training hall when I got a call from my school principal, Zhao Yao. He told me to come to school immediately and explained that the admission officers from the top 3 universities have already arrived and are waiting for me. They were all in the principal's office, and the tension was obvious between the competing university reps. Qingjing University's rep, Su Yun, spoke first and announced her university is absolutely determined to recruit me. But Jincheng University's rep, Wu Yuan, mocked her words and asked sarcastically if her words were enough to settle it, and insisted his university is just as determined to recruit me. The rivalry between them escalated quickly, and admissions director Zhang looked clearly annoyed by their bickering. At that moment, I entered the room, cutting off their argument. Ms. Su Yun commented that I looked good. I stood before them with a firm, unshakable will. Then she added with a smile that I really am a promising talent. Mr. Wu Yuan pointed out my composure in the presence of 3 level 5 ability users. He noticed I was calm and unaffected by their aura, and praised my steadiness and strong character. I bowed respectfully and greeted all the teachers present. Director Zhang addressed me, saying they all watched my exam video, but he pointed out that the ability I showed doesn't match the E-rank ability registered in my file. Everyone looked at me, waiting for an explanation. I explained that I was struck by natural lightning the day before the exam, and this accident caused a mutation and evolution in my ability. Jincheng University's rep rushed to make his offer immediately, and promised me a 4 million scholarship, plus a full set of C-rank equipment, and free access to all their combat techniques. The offer was so generous it made my principal dizzy, but Qingjing University's rep scoffed at his offer, considering it meager. Then she turned to me with a confident smile, and said her university doesn't just offer techniques for free, but will also give me a 6 million bonus, in addition to covering all my equipment needs throughout my studies. I suddenly found myself the center of a fierce battle between the 2 universities. Finally, Director Zhang from Modu University spoke, skipping the talk about skills, confirming his university has all that too, but explained they don't offer any financial bonuses or equipment. The other 2 reps smiled triumphantly, thinking they'd won, but Director Zhang's eyes gleamed as he revealed his real offer. He promised to provide me with S-rank training resources every year. This offer left the other reps in total shock. Even I was surprised and asked, "S-rank training resources?" I didn't know what that meant. He explained it could be something as rare as dragon blood from a level 8 monster, and consuming it would give me a body with the strength of dragons. He assured me that all their S-rank resources are treasures on this level, and they're totally priceless. I made my decision on the spot and announced, I choose Modu Ability University. Director Zhang was overjoyed, while the others had no choice but to accept defeat. After the meeting, Director Zhang took me in his jeep and gave me a tour around the massive and majestic campus. He asked what I thought of the place, then said proudly, "It's a majestic sight, isn't it?" and told me the university covers 4,000 acres. I stood completely amazed by the sheer size of the place. Director Zhang told me there are 2 main systems at Modu University. The first is the credit point system. The second is the personal mentorship system. He explained that points are everything in this university. As for the personal mentorship system, it's what determines whether I'll learn the real techniques and get the right guidance or not. He suddenly stopped the car and said, "We're here. This is your dorm." I got out of the car to find myself in front of a huge villa. I couldn't hide my surprise. This university exceeded all my expectations. They use villas as student dorms. We went into the luxurious villa. We sat down and the director started talking seriously. He assured me that as an S-rank ability user, choosing the right personal mentor is crucial. Then he summoned the AI system, Eva, and explained it would help me in my daily life and searching for information. Then he said Modu University has 4 mentors specializing in lightning abilities, but the one he'd recommend to me is the dean of the weapons school, Yang Gentian. The system displayed his profile, level 7 ability user. His A-rank ability is True Wind and Fire Thunder, nicknamed Thunder Spear, and he solo defeated a level 8 monster. A picture showed him fighting the demonic snake Earthshaker. He managed to kill a level 8 monster while only being level 7. I instantly realized how immensely powerful he was. Director Zhang continued, explaining that Dean Yang isn't just strong, but he's also an expert in using the spear and lightning abilities. He assured me he's the most suitable teacher for me by far. In fact, he's the undisputed best. I answered briefly that I understood, and thanked him for his help. The director took me to meet Dean Yang in his office. The dean welcomed me right away saying, "So you're Xu Jingming," and added that Director Zhang told him everything about me. Then he asked me to follow him. I followed him in silence. One of his students was watching us in amazement, wondering how their teacher, nicknamed Yang the King of Hell, could smile. and even personally escort me to the training room. He was wondering about my identity and who I was. In the training room, he asked me to show him my S-rank ability. I answered with its name, Divine Purple Sky Thunder. I unleashed my power, and purple lightning flooded the whole room. Surprise and admiration showed on his face as he said, "It truly is an S-rank lightning ability." Then he told me that with this talent of mine, there's no reason I shouldn't become his disciple. From today onwards, you are my 32nd disciple. I bowed respectfully before him and said, "Greetings, master." He laughed out loud and said, "Good, very good." Then he pulled out 2 glowing books from his storage ring. He handed me the books saying they're the best way to train abilities. The Ultimate Ability Training Method. He explained the second book is the essence of his experience. An S-rank body technique of his own creation. Immortal Thunder Body. I couldn't believe my eyes. An S-rank combat technique. He explained that this technique consists of 13 levels, and when I fully master it, my body will reach a state of true immortality. Then he put his hand on my shoulder, promising that when I level up, he'll personally help me build a solid foundation. I started training right away and felt the power of this technique. The energy I could sense was 100 times greater than what I used to feel. I opened my system panel and ordered the system saying, "Blue system, add points for me." I was determined to master all the techniques I learned today. Energy exploded around me, and the system announced my promotion to the next level. It also announced my mastery of several new techniques. I clenched my fists, feeling the power surging through my veins. I realized that if I faced the sect followers now, I could crush them with lightning power alone. The next day, I went to the martial arts hall with my roommate. My roommate showed his admiration for the place. The vibe here was completely different. A female guide welcomed us and pointed to pillars displaying the Strength Challenge leaderboard. She explained it's for levels 1 to 5, and getting into the top 3,000 students list rewards the student with 50 points. My roommate got hyped and said it looks easy, then told me to wait for him a bit. He's going to try his luck first. The system announced the start of student Liu Wentao's challenge. Students gathered to watch the new challenge. Someone scoffed, saying, "Looks like a newbie who isn't afraid of death." My roommate stood in front of the testing machine, ready. He threw a strong punch at the machine. The guide announced the punch's force hit 476 kilograms and praised his excellent performance. But she regretfully added that his rank was past the 100,000th place. My roommate felt super embarrassed amidst the laughs and mockery of the other students. Then he urged me to join, telling me to hurry up since it was my turn, figuring getting embarrassed together is better than being embarrassed alone. I smiled and answered, "All right." I stepped up and registered my ID in the system. The guide asked me to start the strength challenge. One of the female students looked at me with contempt and whispered that I look weaker than the last guy, and that I barely reached level 1, and hitting 400 kilograms would be an achievement for me. I gathered my strength and threw a devastating punch. The guide announced in utter shock that the punch's force reached 4,589 kilograms. The machine displayed the massive number that shattered all expectations. The system announced I broke the record for the strongest punch, and my pillar lit up in gold to announce my achievement. My roommate couldn't believe his eyes. The students cheered in awe. "The record is broken, 4,500 kilograms. Someone wondered if this was a power a human could even unleash, while another wondered in confusion, could this student really be a freshman? My roommate yelled with joy, "You're truly my brother that I'm proud of." A while later, my news spread all over campus. A student pointed at me saying, "That's the student who broke the record." I was the center of everyone's attention. A girl whispered to her friend Chu Yun, "Look quick, that's Xu Jingming. He's way more handsome than in the pictures." Chu Yun recognized me too, since I was the one who broke the record in the training hall. At that moment, a group of students blocked my path. One of them stepped up, introducing himself as Li Ju, the runner-up in Jiangnan Province's entrance exam, and declared his challenge to the first-place winner. The students whispered that the second-place guy is challenging the first-place guy. Someone said things just got interesting, and that Li Ju doesn't seem convinced by my score. A rumor spread that I got first place, through military connections, and that Li Ju might actually be stronger than me. I answered him coldly, not interested. One of his lackeys scoffed, saying I look scared to face their boss Li. He questioned mockingly what kind of genius I am, adding that he thinks my fame is nothing but media hype. Li Ju got closer and whispered in my ear, asking if my aunt was in business. Explaining that his family is her biggest supplier, he added, pointing out that her latest batch of payments doesn't seem to have arrived yet, threatening that if he doesn't get it real soon, he's afraid my aunt might declare bankruptcy. I glared at him and asked if he was threatening me. He replied with a sly smile, explaining he's just reminding me of reality. So I smiled and agreed, hoping he won't regret his decision, and adding that I'll be waiting for him at ring number 3. Then I turned around and walked away. Students gathered around the combat ring. Someone wondered about the potential winner. Another said he's betting on Li Ju, since he has an A-rank ability. but another student said he's betting on me, since I was the one who broke the strength record. The girl asked her friend Chu Yun for her opinion. She answered confidently, Xu Jingming will definitely win. Li Ju and I stood face to face in the ring. He said sarcastically that just winning wouldn't be fun, and suggested adding a bet, offering to wager the equivalent of all his school points in cash, asserting that the winner takes all. I agreed right away. The ref announced the start of the match. Li Ju unleashed his Dark Karma Flames ability. While I braced myself for the clash, he yelled angrily that the honor I stole from him, he'll take it all back today, and summoned his flaming sword, Flame Cutter, and attacked me with all his might. I summoned my lightning shield, and blocked his attack with ease. I whispered with disdain, too weak. Then I launched a swift counterattack. He couldn't dodge my strike, and my spear pierced his body. He fell to the ground bleeding heavily. The ref raised his hand to declare my win, but Li Ju tried to get up, yelling at him to wait, insisting he hasn't lost yet. He pulled out a glowing red pill saying the match isn't over yet. The ref yelled, warning him and condemning his actions, asking if he went crazy to use the explosive blood pill, and added this is just a friendly spar. But he ignored the warning and swallowed the pill. A massive energy exploded from his body as he screamed, "There's no way I'll lose." Qiu Yun's friend noticed that Li Ju's power had reached an advanced second level and wondered worriedly if I could still win. My roommate shouted angrily from the stands, "Are steroids allowed? This is blatant cheating." The ref explained that rules weren't set before the match. Therefore, using pills is allowed. I smirked, saying, "Finally, it's no longer like a fight between an adult and a child. Now let me see your true strength." I moved with lightning speed. Li Ju was surprised by my speed. It's the A-rank lightning flash technique. I appeared before him in a flash as he wondered, what is this speed? He tried to block my attack, but my spear and his sword clashed hard. The impact pushed him back. He looked at his bleeding hand, asking me in terror, "What kind of monster are you?" He unleashed all his power, screaming, "Flame Barrage." I summoned my shield again, and blocked his fiery attack with absolute ease. He wondered in confusion about my true ability level. I summoned my power, saying, "Lightning Spear," and formed a spear out of pure lightning. Then I launched it at him with incredible speed. He didn't expect me to have a long-range attack too. The spear pierced his body and knocked him down. He fell to the ground in intense pain. Then I summoned my strongest skill, Lightning Prison, trapping him in a cage of devastating thunderbolts. Then I used Lightning Spear Barrage, and rained a barrage of electric spears on him. He finally screamed, announcing his surrender. I stopped before dealing the finishing blow. He looked at me in terror, yelling, "I surrender!" My spear stopped just a few centimeters away from chopping off his arm. I looked at him coldly. The ref declared my victory in the match. I smirked. I went back to my room and started meditating. I focused on training the Immortal Thunder Body technique. I felt the lightning flowing through my body. It really was an S-rank body technique. I spent the next few days in intense, isolated training. 15 days later, I checked my system panel. My name was Xu Jingming, and my level had reached the intermediate first stage. My ability is the S-rank Divine Purple Sky Thunder. My physical strength reached 406, and my spiritual strength 351. I mastered spear skills, and boxing, and lightning spear barrage, lightning prison, and fast movement skill, and the first level of the Immortal Thunder Body. I looked at my remaining points, which were 1,048. Half a month has passed. It's time to reach a new level. I unleashed my power, and finally, I reached the peak of the freshman level. The system showed I reached the advanced first level with 592 points. The remaining points weren't enough to reach the second level, so I decided to push my current power to its absolute limit. 354 points were consumed to level up the Immortal Thunder Body to the second level. I felt immense power coursing through my body. Level 2 of the Immortal Thunder Body. Now I can activate the Ultimate Thunder mode. I looked at my hand glowing with lightning. I upgraded the Lightning Spear Barrage skill to max level for 62 points. I didn't have many points left. It's time to tell my teacher I'm heading to the wastelands. I told my teacher my decision. He warned me, saying those lands aren't like school. Death there is possible at any moment. I told him I know that, but facing the danger of death is the only way to get stronger. My teacher sighed and said, "Since you've made up your mind, then go." But he warned me to run away immediately if I felt in danger. I thanked him for his concern, and before I left, he gifted me a spear as a parting gift. My teacher said he doesn't have anything special to give me, except for this spear, the Dark Cloud Wind Spear. He explained it's enchanted with wind power, and it's the most suitable weapon for my current level. I practiced with it a bit. It truly was an exceptional spear. I thanked my teacher for this awesome gift, so he ordered me to go, reminding me that my safety comes first. I stood in front of the university gate, ready to set off. Wastelands, here I come. I hopped on the train heading to my destination. I finally arrived at the Yuan Shui supply base. I'm finally here. It's the last stop before entering the wastelands. I entered the base and registered my details as an adventurer. The clerk looked at my papers and said, "A student from Modu University." At the advanced first level, and you dare to come here. You're really brave." While I was waiting, a group of adventurers walked in, led by a silver-haired girl. Someone called out her name. "It's Jiang Chuxuan." She was a sophomore at Modu University, known as the Internet Goddess. Someone noticed her aura was very strong. I realized she's the girl from the rumors. Our university's Internet Goddess, Jiang Chuxuan. So this is her. She left with her team. A strange man approached me, asked if this was my first visit, then offered to sell me some pills. He said he has healing and detox pills, and that his prices are cheap and his goods are guaranteed. He pulled out several dirty vials, and offered me a healing pill for only 20,000, insisting he doesn't scam anyone. I took a vial from him. A pill that costs 30,000 in the market, he sells for 20. Does he think I'm an idiot? I asked him sarcastically. With this cheap price, are these meds of yours guaranteed? He answered confidently, "Of course. I, Zhao Chunlin, am famous for my quality goods and cheap prices." I said coldly, "Fake medicine for 20,000? You think I'd believe you?" His expression changed and he called me a newbie, then sharply asked if I was going to buy or not. At that moment, a girl walked in and yelled at Zhao Chunlin in disgust, asking if he was selling his fake meds to newbies again. He muttered angrily, noting my luck was good this time, then threatened me, warning that I better not leave this base in the coming days, vowing that I'd regret it if I did. The girl approached me and warned me, saying I pissed him off, pointing out this guy is at the intermediate second level and known for his cruelty and brutality, and advised me not to leave the base in the near future. I thanked her for her advice. Then she left with her team. I whispered to myself sarcastically, underestimating his intermediate second level, and vowed to make him a testing dummy for my new spear's power. I walked out of the base with full confidence, and found Zhao waiting for me outside. He said mockingly that he didn't expect me to have the guts to come out, calling me kid, and repeated his surprise that I actually left the base. Then he offered me one last chance to save myself, ordering me to slap myself 10 times, and pay him 200,000, in exchange for him forgetting what happened between us. Meanwhile, the girl who warned me was watching us from afar, and she said worriedly, "Oh God, I didn't want him to go out." Her team leader tried to calm her down, telling her to relax, and urged her not to rush, suggesting they wait and see how things unfold. I answered him coldly, "And what if I refuse?" His face twisted in wild rage, and he vowed that I'd leave my legs here today. He unleashed his ability, and his body turned into solid metal, C-rank ability, and D-rank armor. He yelled with a crazy laugh, mocking and assuring me I wouldn't even be able to scratch his defense, then ordered me sharply, "Now, kneel before me." I answered with contempt. Annoying, I moved with lightning speed and hit him hard in the face. He dropped to the ground unconscious, his face smashed. The onlookers cheered in extreme shock and awe, declaring he defeated him in one punch. Everyone was shocked by the terrifying sight. They couldn't even see how I landed my strike. Zhao Chunlin realized he picked the wrong opponent. The girl who warned me couldn't believe what she saw. She didn't even catch my movement. But their leader realized it was a lightning-fast kick, with terrifying power, and she knew Zhao was done for good. My performance blew everyone away, and they whispered that I belonged to Madu Ability University. The girl asked her leader in amazement, "Captain, how did you know?" The leader pointed to the emblem engraved on my spear. It was the Madu University crest, explaining that only students from this prestigious university have the power to defeat opponents higher in level. I left them behind and dashed away. My next destination was the Wastelands. My map showed that Ping'an City housed hundreds of level 2 monsters, so I decided it would be my new hunting ground. I prepped for battle and declared the start of the hunting trip. I took out a level 2 Shadow Cat and got 18 ability points. Then I defeated a mid-level armored rhino, and my points kept skyrocketing like crazy. I wiped out swarms of monsters one after another and destroyed them with lightning strikes. Even the armored tiger was no match for me, and my points reached 2,780 in no time. Soon enough, monster corpses piled up under my feet. But this still wasn't enough. I needed more power. Meanwhile, another team of adventurers arrived in the city. One of them wondered in confusion why there were no monsters despite the intel they had. They searched all day without finding a single trace of them, and their leader couldn't find any explanation for it. Suddenly, a powerful tiger monster appeared before them. They were thrilled to see it. It was the first monster they laid eyes on. Their leader ordered them to attack it immediately. But right before they reached it, a giant lightning spear struck it down from the sky and pierced its body in an instant, then exploded with massive force, blowing them all backward. The team was terrified by the sight, so their panicked leader realized that the place had been completely cleared out, and that a super lightning ability user had wiped out all the monsters, so he ordered them to run. My new Thunder Spear skill had a high level of mastery. Its range reached a full 1,000 meters, and I was totally satisfied with this new power. I returned to the ground and landed softly. Then I opened my system panel and found my level had reached the peak of the second stage, with a physical strength of 1,310 and spiritual of 972. In just 1 month, I managed to level up from level 1 to the peak of level 2, and I mastered the third level of the Immortal Thunder Body. I also reached the Spearmaster level, asking myself, who else could achieve this? I rested for a bit and lit a fire to grill some meat, and after wiping out all the monsters in Pinyin City, I decided it was time to move to a new spot. I ventured deep into the forest looking for a new challenge. Suddenly the ground shook around me, and the terrifying wind wolf appeared before me. It was a fresh and fitting prey, a mid-level 3 monster. The beast looked eager to face me, so I unleashed my Lightning Storm Pierce skill on it, and with a lightning-fast Thunder Flash move, I took it down in an instant. The monster dropped to the ground, a lifeless corpse. My system showed I got 34 extra ability points, bringing my total to 3,267. It was an efficient and fast hunt, but I still needed more points to reach level 3. Suddenly, I got a distress signal on my watch. The map showed the source wasn't far. It was within close range, so I dashed off immediately to see what was going on. It was the silver-haired girl, Zhang Chuxuan, who sent the signal. She's also a student at Madu University, and she was being chased by a level 3 burrowing earth dragon monster. She got separated from her escort team after hiring them to protect her, and found herself facing this tough monster, realizing she couldn't escape. The beast was massive, and the forest was slowing it down, but out here in the open, she knew it would catch up to her fast. I decided she couldn't just give up to death, so she unleashed her ice ability, trying to freeze the monster, but her attempt failed, and she was sure there was no escape. The monster shattered her ice with a single roar, and in that moment of despair, I appeared before her in a flash of lightning. She recognized me instantly. Since she saw my power back at the base, she screamed, warning me about the Earth Dragon's strength, insisting I wouldn't be able to beat it. She was surprised I didn't listen to her advice. She was even about to use a stimulant pill to help me, but I summoned my Thunder Spear and fired it right into the monster's eye. The giant beast crashed to the ground, dead. She couldn't believe what she saw. I finished it off in one hit. My power exceeded all her expectations. She wondered to herself about my true identity. She stepped towards me and thanked me for saving her life. I told her my name and that it was no big deal. She noticed my university crest and realized we were schoolmates, and called me senpai out of respect. Then she introduced herself, explaining she's a sophomore. She thought I was older than her. I thought about correcting her but didn't want to waste time explaining. She praised my strength again, pointing out the monster had the power of a level 3 fighter. Yet, I managed to take it out in a flash. Then she asked me about my next destination. I told her I'd keep hunting monsters in this area, so she asked me to let her tag along temporarily. I agreed to her request, promising to drop her off at a safe zone later. She thanked me, overflowing with joy. Then she suggested a new idea, that we go check out the dragon's cave. We might find something valuable inside. I agreed to her suggestion, and we set off together. The cave was filled with skeletons of other monsters. We stood there, taking in the bizarre scene. I noticed some rare B-rank spirit herbs and A-rank flame flowers. Rare herbs were growing everywhere. I wondered why they were growing here. Then I realized the reason was that glowing spring. My schoolmate screamed in shock. "That's the Earth Spirit Spring." I had no idea what it was, so I asked her about it. She rushed over to inspect one of the plants and sniffed its scent. Then she confirmed to me that its root scent matched the spring water's scent, and told me this is the holy S-rank healing medicine. I asked her how sure she was. She replied confidently that she holds a second-grade pharmacist certificate. She looked at the small pool and explained that this amount is enough to make 5 S-rank healing potions. They are absolutely priceless treasures. She smiled happily and praised my good luck. Since I'm the one who brought her here, she offered to take just one share and leave the rest to me. But I suggested we split everything 50-50. She thanked me warmly and called me a good guy. Suddenly we heard voices coming from the cave entrance. It was the escort team she hired. They arrived wondering about the value of this place, but their leader knew a level 3 monster's lair had to be hiding a treasure. My schoolmate recognized them right away. It was her protection team, and they're an elite level 3 squad. She realized she'd be in trouble if they found out about the spring. The leader greeted her with a huge smile and claimed he was looking for her after they got separated earlier, then asked her what she was doing here. She tried to hide it and told him she bumped into a schoolmate by chance, and they just entered the cave randomly. Then she tried to distract them by offering them the other rare herbs, and suggested they split it all as a token of appreciation for their efforts. But the leader looked at her with a sly smile, and thanked her for her generosity. Then he and his men stepped towards the spring, and one of them went to inspect the herbs. A team member noticed the spring's scent was unique. He told his boss that something was up, and that this spring looks like the holy S-rank healing medicine, Earth Spirit Spring. The leader looked at us with a malicious grin and accused us of being dishonest. One of his men stepped up and checked the water. He confirmed it was indeed the spirit spring, and that the amount was enough for 5 people. My schoolmate realized it was over, so she tried to give up and leave, offered them to take everything, and asked me to go. She whispered to me that they are all at the peak of level 3, and that we wouldn't be able to match them. I explained to her that it was too late, because the moment the spring was discovered, they had no intention of letting us leave. The leader laughed out loud, and praised my smarts, then declared coldly that our lives would end here, and ordered his men to guard the entrance. My schoolmate got ready to fight, and swallowed a stimulant pill. She told me there was no other choice left. We have to fight with everything we've got. I told her I'd handle the leader, so Ju Chong ordered one of his men to handle me. Then he addressed my schoolmate with a threat, and unleashed his ability, turning into a massive tiger. My schoolmate screamed as she unleashed her ice ability, but he easily blocked her attack, and with one hit, he shattered her defense, and knocked her to the ground. Meanwhile, I wiped out my opponent with a lightning strike, and he dropped dead. His teammate yelled out the leader's name. The leader couldn't believe what he saw. The power level of his men was nothing to scoff at, but I didn't pay them any mind. The leader realized I was the real threat, so he attacked me with his Tiger Claw skill, but I dodged his attack with ease. The leader was furious because he missed me. I was eyeing the Spirit Spring too, so I told them with a smile that since they want it, I have no choice but to wipe them all out. I unleashed my true power, and shifted into Ultimate Thunder mode. They were all shocked by the terrifying sight, wondering what kind of monster this was. I felt immense power coursing through my veins. The leader mocked me and called me a fraud, and attacked me again, but I was way faster than him. I appeared right in front of him in a flash. He couldn't process my speed, so he summoned his protective shield, but I smashed it in one hit, and pierced his body with a powerful thunderbolt. He fell to the ground, severely injured. Then I grabbed him by the neck. He screamed for help. The others launched their attacks at me, but I easily blocked their attack. They were stunned by my power. The leader begged me for mercy, offering me the spring and everything he owns. He even offered me all his savings, but I told him it was too late. He had doomed himself to death from the start, and with one strike, I ended his life. His men were terrified by this sight. One of them passed out from sheer fear. My schoolmate couldn't believe what she saw, wondering if she was dreaming. My power far exceeded A-rank abilities. She realized it must be an S-rank ability. Then I turned my gaze to the remaining men, and unleashed a barrage of lightning spears on them. I wiped them all out with my lightning spear barrage skill. Then I reverted to my normal form. They all deserve to die, so it's fine killing them. My schoolmate approached to check on me, but she collapsed to the ground from extreme exhaustion. The side effects of the stimulant pill were way too strong, so I took her to a safe spot to rest. She leaned on me, feeling dizzy. Then I gently laid her down on a nearby rock. I told her to rest here, while I go collect the loot. She smiled sweetly, calling me gentle. A while later, we left the cave and hit the road. Suddenly I sensed incoming danger. A giant level 5 flame tiger appeared before us. It was an insanely strong monster. It charged at us with incredible speed. We braced ourselves for the clash, but it ran right past us without attacking. My schoolmate noticed something weird. The monster was running away from something. Running away? A level 5 monster. It's considered the lord of this whole area. What could possibly make it run like that? Suddenly swarms of giant rats appeared. It was a massive tide of monsters. I realized it was a rat tide. I grabbed her hand and we took off running. They were the notorious iron-eating rats. Even though they're individually weak, when they swarm into a tide, they can take down even a level 6 fighter. It was an absolute disaster. Now I knew why the tiger ran. It was running for its life. We ran at top speed, but the tide was faster. I carried her on my back to boost our speed. Then I told her to hold on tight, because I was about to use my top speed. I saw another group of adventurers in our path. They were completely surrounded, and in seconds, the rats devoured them completely. There was no time to save them. If we got surrounded, we'd meet the same fate. I used lightning flash to escape at max speed. Finally, we reached a safe zone, but the rats were still chasing us. The situation was getting annoying, so I decided to face them. I unleashed the ultimate thunder mode and blasted them with powerful electric shocks. I was gaining XP points with every monster I killed, and my power kept rising. I could even hear the sound of my system leveling up. Meanwhile, news of the tide reached the base. The soldiers saw the massive dust cloud approaching. Then they saw a giant lightning ball right in the middle of it. They wondered if it was a lightning-type monster. My power was wiping out the rats by the hundreds. The commander ordered his men to prep for battle. They had to stop the tide from reaching the base. But the lightning ball suddenly crashed down in front of them and caused a massive explosion. Then I appeared right in the middle of them, carrying my schoolmate in my arms. We were finally back. Later on, I was cruising in a luxury car. It was a rare, limited edition ride. The students thought I was some rich kid. I stepped out of the car with style, and all the girls were swooning over me. They were talking about how handsome I am, my athletic body, but they felt disappointed when they saw my schoolmate next to me. They thought she was my girlfriend. One guy yelled that it's Goddess Jiang. He was a huge fan of hers. Finally, I made it back to my university. My schoolmate called out to me and told me we'd part ways here, promising she'd be at my service. If I ever needed anything in the future, I thanked her for her kindness. And we wished each other luck. But right before she left, she surprised me with a kiss on the cheek and said it's a token of gratitude for saving her life. Then she said goodbye and hurried off. I felt that this girl is pretty interesting. The fans' hearts were shattered seeing Goddess Jiang's first kiss given away. In her room, Jiang Chuchuan was still thinking about what happened. She went back to her normal life and sat at her PC, deciding to look up some info on me. She found out I was the talk of the university. Everyone was talking about my achievements. She found it weird. Since all the news was about a freshman, she realized the truth in a flash. I was that freshman. She was shocked by this info. She never expected a freshman at level 2 to possess all this power. In my room, I was training hard. I got 2 new S-rank skills, but I discovered one of them was actually SSS rank. It's a skill that summons destructive heavenly lightning. I decided to learn it no matter the cost. It was a skill totally worth the effort, but it was extremely complex, and I realized it would take a long time. If it weren't for my system, it would have taken me months to learn it. So I decided to use my points and ordered the system to upgrade my skills. And in a flash, energy surged through my body, and I mastered my Sky Thunder and Hellish Thunder Shield skills. I got a brand new attack and defense, and wondered just how strong I am now, after adding the Ultimate Thunder mode to them. The next day, a combat tournament was held at the university, and I was one of the participants. The students recognized me immediately, and my opponent panicked, while the others felt relieved they weren't in my bracket. But not everyone was lucky. They thought staying away from me would keep them safe, but they were dead wrong. The countdown started, and the battle began, with everyone attacking each other. While I unleashed the power of the divine purple sky thunder, I hovered in the air and unleashed the power of lightning. Everyone was shocked by the terrifying sight. They realized my level was advanced level 2. They couldn't believe a freshman reached this level. The gap between us was massive, and they wondered how they could even match me. It was a totally unfair matchup. Even the senior students were amazed, since they reached this level after years of training, while I reached it in just a few months. Up in the stands, Jiang Chuchuan was smiling. I fooled her for a long time, and she decided to confront me after the match, to hear my explanations. Outside the battlefield, my opponents were shaking with fear. They realized my level far surpassed theirs. How is this possible? One of them approached me and told me my level is advanced level 2 and that I possess an S-rank ability, and facing me one-on-one is suicide, and they'd all lose. So he suggested they all gang up against me so they could knock me out of the competition. And just like that, everyone surrounded me. They were all hyped up for this idea. One of them had a mental ability and told them there were 102 of them and that they'd be able to drain my energy and defeat me. He introduced himself as Shi Liao and told them to follow his orders. Since the chance to defeat an S-rank ability user is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, and they'd brag about this achievement their whole lives. Everyone agreed enthusiastically and declared they'd follow his plan. Shi Liao is the one leading them. Tell us what to do. I looked at them coldly. Shi Liao had an A-rank mental ability, and he was an interesting opponent, but he didn't stand a chance anymore, even if it was 102 against 1. Shilo mocked me and asked how I'd win now. I didn't care about his words. The word victory doesn't even suit this clash. I yelled angrily, asking how he dared to think he was the strongest. I summoned the Thunder Spear and unleashed my power, so he ordered his men to attack, ordering the close combat fighters to advance, and the shooters to attack from a distance, and the support squads to back them up. They all charged at me and rained down a barrage of attacks on me, but their debuffs didn't affect me at all. My power was leagues above them. Shilo couldn't believe what he saw, so he ordered them to defend themselves, but it was too late. One of them summoned an earth wall, and Shi Liao advised me to focus on my real enemies. I launched my spear at him with incredible speed. It was faster than the speed of sound. I shattered his defense in one hit, and his men were sent flying everywhere. Shilo realized my spear was about to explode, so he screamed, warning everyone. But the arena's protection system calculated the attack as lethal, so it auto-activated the energy shield. My attack caused a massive explosion. The spectating students were shocked by the terrifying sight. One of them even thought he saw a mushroom cloud. Only a handful of students were left on the battlefield. The system announced Shi Liao's defeat, along with everyone with him. Shi Liao cried bitterly. He couldn't believe he was beaten so easily. He tried to find a way to get revenge, but he realized that even if he wasn't eliminated, he would have dragged me to hell with him. But I stood tall in the middle of the ring. Even if ants gather, they won't be able to defeat a dragon. All your efforts were in vain. How? Screamed Shilo in despair. Shilo fell to his knees, wondering about the power of S-rank abilities. In the evening, I gathered with my friends for dinner, but my roommate had to leave early, bidding everyone goodbye. My schoolmate whispered to run before trouble starts. I didn't get what she meant. Then I looked at my watch and told them it was time to head back to the dorms, but one of them claimed she couldn't walk and asked me to help her. Then the other claimed the same thing. They were both drunk, and I realized I was in Trouble. I had to help them on the way back, and we caught everyone's attention on the street. Some guy dropped his food in shock, and a girl dragged her boyfriend away. Even the students in the cafe were shocked by the sight. One guy yelled, wishing he was in my shoes, and asked me to teach him the secret to my success. Another cried in envy. I was living every man's dream. When I got back to my room, my roommate was waiting for me and asked me about the night's events and if any fight broke out between the two girls. I didn't understand what he was talking about. He was talking about Song Chu-yun and Jiang Chuxuan, wondering how they didn't fight. I told him nothing happened. I just dropped them off at their rooms and came back. He couldn't believe his ears. The situation was way too peaceful. He praised my ability to handle the situation and thought I won them both over. I went back to my room to check my loot. I opened the bag I got. It was a gift from the university. It contained a spatial ring with a 10 cubic meter capacity and a level 5 focus pill. This was the first place reward. A spatial ring with a 10 cubic meter capacity. The ring shimmered with a faint, strong glow. Now things will get much easier. Finally, I don't have to carry my weapon on my back everywhere. I put the ring on my finger and felt it connect to me, and with a single thought, I stored my spear inside it. The ease was amazing, and retrieving it was just as simple. The other reward was a focus pill, capable of significantly boosting my spiritual strength. I was eager to see how much power it could grant me. I closed the bag, ready to start my training. I first opened my system panel to check my current stats. My physical strength was 1,321, and my spiritual strength was 987. Without hesitation, I swallowed the pill. Instantly, a massive wave of energy started flowing through my body. My spiritual strength skyrocketed, breaking the 1,000 barrier to reach 1,037. I couldn't hide my excitement. I finally broke the 1,000 points barrier. With my new spiritual strength, I turned my attention to the other treasures I got. It was 10 p.m. I could still train for a few hours before sleeping. Besides, there was something else I needed to take care of. This batch of rare and exotic herbs needs to be processed. Looks like a trip to the university's pharmacy department is necessary tomorrow. The next day I arrived at the pharmacy department. As expected from a prestigious university like Madu, the serious study atmosphere was completely different from anywhere else. I found a quiet spot and started meditating, not wanting to waste any time. Suddenly my schoolmate appeared before me and addressed me with a smile, calling me a rookie and expressing her surprise at my presence there too. I opened my eyes and replied, welcoming her as my senior, and couldn't resist teasing her a bit, asking if she had woken up from her hangover last night. She blushed and quickly replied that she woke up a long time ago. She changed the subject and looked at me curiously, then asked if I came here to sell those exotic herbs we found. I answered no, explaining that it's not quite that, while I was considering my available options. If I could find the right pharmacist, it would be great if they could turn them into pills or potions for me. Her eyes instantly lit up with an idea, and she concluded, saying that I'm looking for a pharmacist then. She pointed to herself confidently and said, offended by my lack of attention, asking if I didn't think there was an excellent and beautiful pharmacist standing right in front of me. I was surprised by her words and asked inquiringly if she wasn't just an amateur, and my words seemed to anger her, as she shouted sharply asking who said she was just an amateur, then proudly presented her level 2 pharmacist certificate, and bragged that prepping some second-grade pills was easy for her. Besides, she continued with a more serious tone, I've decided not to go back to the wastelands to film content anymore, and that she's preparing to fully focus on the pharmacist path. Her decision to become a full-time pharmacist was surprising. I asked her, so you're gonna stop filming monster fighting videos? She explained that after our last experience that almost cost us our lives in the wastelands, she realized that the dangerous adventurer life isn't for her, but she assured me she'll keep filming videos. She'll just change her content to focus on alchemy and potion making. She envisioned a new style, a live stream of her daily life as a pharmacist, although she admitted she might lose a lot of her action-loving fans. I wished her all the best in her new career path, but there was something confusing me. Can someone with an ice-type ability really become a pharmacist? I wondered out loud. I always thought this profession was meant for fire ability users. She looked at me like I was a total rookie in this field, and commented sarcastically that this exactly shows how ignorant I am of alchemy. She explained that modern technology provides enchanted cauldrons and furnaces, and these tools can convert any type of energy ability, like her ice power, into the flame needed for alchemy. She added that this means my electric ability can also be used in prepping. Everything made sense now. I was convinced, and pulled out all the herbs we gathered from the cave. I asked her to take a look to see which ones she could use, and added, urging her to take them all. She seemed clearly moved by my immense trust in her, and shouted happily, announcing that she wouldn't hesitate to accept them then. She started identifying the herbs, starting with the C-rank hypnosis herb. It was a key ingredient for making meditation pills. Then the B-rank pure spirit herb, used in mind-awakening pills. Turns out she could use every herb I gave her. She promised me, saying I only had to give her 1 week. for her to prep the final pills for me, so I smiled and told her with a smile that this is excellent and that I'll be waiting for her good news, senior. At that moment, my phone rang and it was my teacher calling. He informed me that he and my seniors had returned to the university and asked if I could come meet them, so I answered without hesitation, agreeing and assuring him I was on my way to them. I arrived at my teacher's residence to find him with 3 other students. My teacher announced my arrival to the others. He wanted me to properly meet my senior brother, Shu Wei, and my senior sister, Tong Yao. My senior brother, Shu Wei, spoke first with a wide smile. He mentioned that even while he was away, he was keeping up with the university forums and saw a lot of posts about the new junior brother and commented saying, "You've definitely made a name for yourself." Then, my senior sister, Tong Yao, steered the conversation in a new direction. Senior sister Tong Yao addressed senior brother Liu, asking if their junior disciple was really the genius he described him as, and he replied with a confident smile that she'd see for herself shortly, assuring her with his personal guarantee that he'd totally shock her. She looked at him skeptically, inquiring about the truth of the matter and adding that she'd verify it herself. He knew she was aware of his power, but she also knew senior brother Liu and how he always tends to exaggerate his words. At that moment, I entered the room and greeted my teacher respectfully. My teacher motioned for me to sit and said, "Jingming, come let me introduce you to them. This was my senior brother from the 3rd year, Shu Wei, and this is my senior sister from the 2nd year, Tong Yao." I greeted senior brother Shu respectfully, then greeted senior sister Tong the same way. Senior brother Liu said that senior sister Tong was just doubting his words, then directed his talk to me, asking me to tell her myself, asking if it was true that I mastered 4 A-rank combat techniques in a row, and I calmly answered him, confirming that senior brother Liu wasn't mistaken in what he said. Shock was evident on their faces, and they gasped in awe, finding it hard to believe it was actually true. One said to the other, "So you also thought it was just bragging?" My senior sister wondered how I could progress so fast and master all these powerful A-rank techniques. She asked if I could share my experience with them, and added very enthusiastically, announcing that she wants to learn too. I answered them with feigned modesty, maybe because I'm naturally gifted. I learn any technique just by seeing it a few times. Then I added, "And this talent, unfortunately, senior sister, you can't learn it." So she playfully pretended to be hurt and shouted, saying that as her junior disciple, I hurt her feelings. Everyone burst into laughter at her reaction. I changed the subject and turned to my teacher. "I came today to ask for your help in testing a new combat technique." Senior brother Shu Wei stood up asking, "What combat technique?" "I'm here to help you. No need to bother the teacher." I calmly answered him, "It's an S-rank technique, Hellish Thunder Shield." He backed down immediately, saying, "All right, apologies for interrupting." He whispered in shock, "An S-rank technique? The gap between humans is bigger than the gap between humans and dogs." My senior sister couldn't believe what she was hearing. How did he manage to do that? My teacher repeated the technique's name in amazement. Then he asked me very enthusiastically, inquiring if I really mastered it, and continued cheerfully confirming that this is good, and that he'll test its power himself. We moved to a training ground on the roof of our building. The senior sister wondered, directing her talk to the senior brother, inquiring if their junior disciple really mastered that S-rank technique, and he answered her with confidence and certainty that based on his knowledge of him, he never makes empty claims. And senior brother Shu Wei commented, saying he thinks he's starting to understand now the true meaning behind the word genius. I shouted the technique's name, Hellish Thunder Shield. Blue lightning engulfed my body, forming a powerful shield. My teacher said admiringly, "It truly is an S-rank technique." I stood before him ready for the test. My teacher said, "Good, very good." Then he unleashed his A-rank ability, True Wind and Fire Thunder, and warned me, saying with an advising tone, "Jingming, be careful," making it clear he'd start the test with the power of a fighter at the peak of level 3. He fired a beam of fiery red lightning at me. The beam hit my shield directly, but I wasn't affected at all. I stood firm and defiant. I smiled and said, "Teacher, this power isn't enough." My teacher laughed out loud and said, "You've got guts. Then get ready for double the power. This is the full power of a peak level 3. He rained down a barrage of devastating attacks on me, but my shield withstood every attack. My teacher yelled, 10 times the power. He summoned a massive dragon of red lightning. The dragon crashed into my shield with immense force and some cracks appeared on it, but I stood my ground amidst the debris. My teacher approached me saying, not bad at all." He put his hand on my shoulder and said appreciatively, "Jingming, this thunder shield requires at least a level 4 fighter to be able to break through it." My senior brothers were hysterically shocked. Senior brother Shu Wei yelled in total amazement, protesting how a level 2 fighter could block a level 4 fighter's attack, and wondered in awe what kind of monster I am. My senior sister whispered in admiration, "He's too strong." I wiped some blood from my mouth and said, "Teacher, what you just saw wasn't even my limit." My teacher was deeply shocked and wondered in awe, protesting if this wasn't already my limit. I unleashed my true power. and summoned the massive lightning dragon form dormant within me. My teacher yelled in a shocked voice, "This is the ultimate thunder mode." My seniors looked at me in total amazement. Senior brother Liu muttered in shock, "Ultimate thunder mode. His immortal body has reached level 3 already." Senior brother Shu Wei couldn't believe what he saw. Our junior disciple is this strong. He remembered how he spent his summer vacation fighting with all he had in dangerous missions, and how he invested all his hard-earned resources to finally reach level 3 just a few days ago. And now, this freshman student has reached the same level. My senior sister whispered in despair, "My immortal body is still at level 2. My teacher suddenly laughed. "Now I understand why your body managed to easily withstand the force of my weakened attack. So the reason is the immortal thunder body, which has already reached level 3. Now I roughly know the limits of your endurance." He unleashed 20 times his previous power, and yelled, "Watch out!" I braced myself in my ultimate mode. My teacher launched a focused and powerful attack. The strike hit me with immense force, and knocked me backward. I looked at my cracked shield, but it wasn't broken. It took 20 times the power to barely break through my defense. This shield has the defensive power against a mid-level 4 fighter's attack. I bowed respectfully. "I have troubled you, teacher. With the hellish thunder shield and the ultimate thunder mode, I can now block attacks from a mid-level 4 fighter. My survivability has definitely become sufficient," my teacher said as he approached. "Jingming, your reaching this level has exceeded all my expectations. Usually students need my constant guidance to learn combat techniques. As for you, you're the most independent student I've ever trained." I answered modestly, "I'm just more talented than others." He laughed and said, "No need for modesty, kid." Then he put his arm around my shoulder. "Come on, let's go get dinner to celebrate your achievement." After 2 months of intense training, one of my teachers, Professor Shu, was reviewing my progress. He praised me, saying I've become capable of freely shaping the elements, and told me it won't be long before I reach the level of condensing lightning into a liquid. But he sighed regretfully. "What an exceptional talent. Why did you go to the weapons school, that den of savages? If you came to our school, the School of Elements, your future would have been limitless." Nearby, the other students were whispering in shock. "Controlling abilities to shape anything. This is an insane level of talent." One complained, "My fireball still isn't perfectly round." Another wondered, "Isn't he from the weapons school? Why does he come to the School of Elements every day for classes?" His classmate answered, "Not just that. You can see him in classes of all the other schools too. This guy is the king of perseverance and hard work." Another student whispered, "That's not considered hard work. You guys don't know the whole story. Every Thursday after classes end, he heads straight to the wastelands, and doesn't come back until Monday morning." Everyone was shocked by this news. "He's a monster." After class ended, I was checking my system panel. My ability points have now surpassed 13,000, but I'm still unable to upgrade my core ability. I wondered if I miscalculated. I decided to save up points for another month, and if the upgrade doesn't work, I'll use the points to level up directly. As I left the classroom, I noticed my schoolmate who stopped me. She called out to me saying, "Jingming, your precision in controlling lightning has improved a lot again." And I replied with utmost modesty, confirming that I've made some slight progress recently. She responded in shocked disbelief, "You call that slight progress?" And continued explaining that the progress I made in the past few days equals a whole month of her hard training. And right before I left, she caught herself saying, "Oh right," and added cheerfully that she had good news for me, which is that the annual study trip meant for freshmen is about to start soon. And besides, it won't just be our university, Qingjing Ability University, and Jincheng Ability University. All their freshmen will be sent to the same wasteland area. The 3 universities will gather together. And honestly, it's a competition of the freshmen's strength. She added that the destination will be the Wastelands area, where a major competition between 3 universities will be held. This is a perfect chance to farm more ability points and test my true strength. She told me that participating in the trip is optional, but most students wouldn't turn down such an opportunity. Then she said with a confident smile, "I'm sure you're going, right?" That night, I was training in my room when I heard a knock on the door. I opened my eyes to find her standing behind the door. I told her, "Senior, next time you can just call me directly." She peeked her head from behind the door with a wink, then walked in and said, "I didn't want to interrupt your training." I summoned my shirt from the storage ring and put it on, and asked her, "Did you come for a specific reason?" She leaned towards me and said playfully, "Do I need a reason to visit you?" I ignored her flirting and warned her, "Senior, you should be careful. It's not good to be taken advantage of by others." She blushed and said, "Other than you, who'd dare take advantage of me?" I sighed and she changed the subject, saying, "All right, let's get back to serious business." So she asked inquiringly if I wasn't going on a study trip tomorrow, and continued as she handed it to me, explaining she prepped these pills especially for me for that. Then she pointed to the different vials, explaining, "There are anti-venom pills and healing ones," and added, confirming that this amount is plentiful and should last me for more than a whole month. I asked her in amazement, "Did you prep all this yourself?" She answered shyly, explaining she hasn't had many lectures recently, and so she used her free time to prep this batch of pills for me. I grabbed one of the vials, touched by her kindness. I thanked her for her effort, and advised her not to exhaust herself staying up late too much. That's bad for your health, besides I can buy these pills from outside. She interrupted me with confident words saying, "What you buy from outside will never be as good quality as what I make myself," then said goodbye with a smile as she quietly withdrew, saying, "All right, I'm leaving now. Remember to be careful and stay safe." The next day, students gathered in the main square. The base supervisor, Ju Ying, was waiting for us. Our university's ship flew in the sky and landed gracefully in the square. University Principal Ling stepped off the ship. Ju Ying welcomed her. "Welcome, Principal Ling. Welcome to Shunan Supply Base." The principal looked at her watch and said, "The banquet hall is already prepared. Please come with me." And they started walking towards the main building. Meanwhile, my classmate commented, "This ship is super fast. We covered the distance in less than 2 hours. From Modu to Qian Province." My roommate answered him enthusiastically, "Of course. Our Principal Ling is amazing. She used her spatial ability to completely envelop the ship, allowing us to arrive at this insane speed and bypass all the flying monsters in our way." I wondered to myself, could the immortal thunder body grant me the ability to fly if I upgrade it further? We lined up to enter the base. A female guide welcomed us and explained that dorm buildings number 1 and 2 are assigned to Madu University. Then she gave me our room keys. I went into my room, ready for the upcoming trip. In the hallway, I bumped into my schoolmate. She asked me, "Where are you going?" I answered that I'm going to check out the training ground, so she smiled happily and said with a confident tone that she knew he'd say that, then added with determination, confirming that she's coming with him on that trip. We set off together towards the training ground. The outdoor training ground was packed with students from the other universities, and everyone was training hard. A group of students gathered around someone caught our attention. It was Kiran from Qingjing University, an S-rank student. He was showing off his immense power, and with super speed, he appeared right in front of me. He greeted me, introducing himself saying, "Hello, Xu Jingming, I'm Kiran," and continued with a smile expressing his extreme happiness to meet me. But then he looked at my schoolmate with sparkling eyes, and went on to say that this beautiful lady must be Song Chu Yun, and expressed his deep happiness to meet her too. He shook my hand firmly. I noticed he learned some Western etiquette, and I know very well what he was trying to do. He looked flustered, sweating bullets. I unleashed the power of lightning in my hand. He explained to me that before awakening his ability, he was studying abroad. "I understand now," I said as I squeezed his hand harder, until he couldn't bear the pain and gave up. But I put my hand on his shoulder and warned him, "These tricks don't work here in our country." He looked shocked by the strength of my grip, and I told him it's better to change his style in the future. Then I left him standing there in shock. Staring at his aching hand in shock, whispering to himself in wonder, "What brute strength?" and continued, protesting that he's an S-rank enhancement ability user, while the other party is just a lightning ability user. Wondering in deep confusion how I possess all this immense physical strength, he was watching me as I walked away with the genius girl from the Song family. He looked like he was plotting something, figuring out how to win her favor. Meanwhile, a strange man blocked our path. He screamed hysterically with a voice filled with terror, "All of humanity will be annihilated by the monsters, and the great destruction is inevitably coming," and went on, claiming loudly that the Supreme Heavenly God is the only one who can save the world from this catastrophic fate, and made an impassioned, desperate invitation to the onlookers saying, "Join us now and be part of us." He was one of those religious fanatics. I ignored him and kept walking. Suddenly he grabbed a little girl who was walking by, then asked, protesting with a tone full of frustration and despair, about the reason that prevents them from believing him and questioning why they don't have faith in his words. He looked like he was about to hurt her, and continued with a harsh expression saying that pain seems to be the only way to make them understand the greatness of the God. So I had no choice but to yell in his face with firm anger, demanding he doesn't seek his own death, and with lightning speed, I summoned my spear and pierced his body. The mother ran to hug her terrified daughter. The fanatic fell to his knees on the ground, the spear piercing his body. The girl's father thanked me for stepping in. I told him it was just my duty. My schoolmate wondered in shock. When did the followers of this sect get so bold, daring to kill in broad daylight? So I answered the father with a tone full of mystery and confusion that they don't know the reason either, and explained, continuing his speech, that in the past they were content with just preaching, and they had never resorted to using violence in their dealings. The police arrived at the scene and ordered everyone not to move. A bystander explained what happened to the officer. Luckily, this young man stepped in, otherwise the consequences would have been dire. Among the crowd, someone was watching me with glowing red eyes. Elsewhere, in an old, dark mansion, the archbishop was waiting for his followers to return. The man in the black cloak arrived and said, "I have returned." So the archbishop asked him inquiringly, "Have you verified the information?" And he answered him with a confident and obedient tone, "Yes, my lord," assuring him that everything has been checked with utmost precision. Xu Jingming from Modu University has indeed reached the advanced second level, the archbishop said angrily. In less than half a year, he rose from a mere awakened to the advanced second level. He ruined our grand plan in Jiangcheng City, he said with an evil tone. Let's make Xu Jingming and all the elite of the 3 universities become sacrifices for the heavenly destiny sect. The follower bowed and said, "As you command, my lord." The archbishop added, "Also, a divine evil will appear in the demon's cave," and handed him a weird device, then pointed to it, explaining that this is the divine blood detector, and continued issuing his orders strictly that he is directly responsible for arranging its retrieval, and warned him with a decisive and firm tone to remember well, not to use the name of the Heavenly Destiny sect under any circumstances. So the follower confirmed his submission and obedience to the order, noting that everything is completely understood. In the assembly hall, the results of our study trip were up. I took first place with a score of 405,000 points. The students were shocked by this massive score. They couldn't believe what they saw. 400,000 points. This is insane. It's almost 4 times Kieran's points. So his classmate asked with a tone full of wonder and amazement about how he managed to do that. Even Principal Ling looked shocked. Kieran stared at the screen in a state of daze and disbelief, muttering bitterly that the number reached 400,000 points, which is 4 times his points, and wondered in extreme denial how such a thing could happen, asserting in his shock that this thing is absolutely impossible. My schoolmate looked at the result with a smile, and expressed with a tone full of admiration and pride that this is truly amazing, and continued affirming that she completely trusted and knew that I was capable of working miracles and achieving the impossible. Then Kieran yelled in my face with overwhelming anger, protesting, asserting that it's impossible for my points to be this incredibly high, and declaring with a tone full of rage and total rejection that he doesn't accept this result in any way, shape, or form. He shouted, challenging and inquiring if I really dared to face him in a duel. And here Principal Ling intervened, explaining that I have total freedom to fight if I wanted to, or refuse if I didn't want to. But she added, saying that if I was confident in my abilities and myself, then there's no harm in accepting this challenge. I smiled confidently, ready for battle. The principal of Qingjing University spoke with Principal Ling with a calm and analytical tone, pointing out that Kieran is indeed an arrogant kid, but he caught himself explaining that him suffering a decisive and humiliating defeat at this time might reflect negatively and affect his future training path, and from this standpoint he proposed a solution to the situation. As he addressed a question to Principal Ling, seeking her opinion on his idea, and announcing their university's full readiness to give up 20% of their own share of resources in exchange for settling the matter, the principal of Qingjing University proposed a bet for this match. If Kieran wins, they take half of our university's permits to enter the ancient lands, but if I win, their university will give us an extra set of permits, plus full S-rank training resources. The students were stunned by the size of this bet. My principal told me the final decision is up to me, and assured me not to feel any pressure. But in return, she made me a promise, which is that if I win, the university will reward me with a personal permit to enter the ancient lands. Ancient lands! My eyes sparkled. It was an opportunity not to be missed. The rival university principal tried to convince me to take my time to think, claiming he wouldn't force me into anything. I smiled at how sincere both principals' intentions were, and announced loudly, "I accept the challenge." The principal praised my boldness with a smile, then announced we'd head to the ring right away, to settle this match immediately. And moments later, we were standing face to face in the middle of the arena. One of the coaches in the stands noticed I had just reached level 3, and that my S-rank combat ability relies on long-range attacks. And against an opponent like Kieran who specializes in close combat, he feared I'd be at a disadvantage. The other coach agreed with him that there's definitely a difficulty, but he wondered how he could know that I don't have other trump cards. Kieran called my name with a mocking smirk. He was surprised I had the guts to accept the challenge, and warned me not to blame him for what happens next. So I answered him calmly that he seems more in a hurry than me to start the fight, and with a single thought I summoned my Thunder Spear. The ref announced the rules of the match. The battle ends when one of us loses consciousness or declares surrender. Only then will the fight end. My principal assured us they're there to ensure our safety, so we can fight with all we've got. The ref ordered us to get ready. Kieran unleashed his energy instantly, and a white aura engulfed him, and I returned the favor, unleashing the dormant lightning power in my eyes. My friends watched from the stands with worry, and with a swift motion, the ref announced the start of the match. Kieran yelled his ability's name, Brahma Beast Sovereign, and transformed instantly into a giant fiery beast. That was his S-rank enhancement ability, and in his beast form, he pointed his massive sword at me, and yelled, "Bring it on!" He asked me mockingly if I'd try my long-range S-rank magic skill first, so I smiled and answered him. Speaking of which, after reaching level 3, I haven't had the chance to unleash my full power. This was the perfect opportunity, and he'll be the first to test it. I unleashed all my power. The ref was shocked that just releasing my energy aura had already pushed the arena's protective shield to its max limit. Kieran realized the situation wasn't in his favor, because the lightning I unleashed was constantly eroding his body. He had to end this fight fast, so he charged at me with all his might, and I met his attack head-on. Our weapons clashed with a deafening boom. The impact pushed us both back, and he couldn't believe what happened. My physical strength rivaled his while he was in beast form. He muttered in shock, How can this happen?" I smirked and asked him why he looked surprised. Who said the strength of lightning ability users is weaker than the strength of enhancement ability users? He admitted he was initially planning on toying with me, but it seems that option is off the table now. Even so, he let out a deafening roar and called my name again. "You should feel proud, because you're about to witness my full power." The crowd gasped, wondering if this was Kieran's true power. It was an overwhelming force. One student recognized it as an S-rank combat technique. It was his ultimate skill, Sovereign Beast Descent. Also, his university's students seemed absolutely confident he'd win. A head-on clash of power then? Very well, I said with a smile. I activated my own transformation, Ultimate Thunder Mode. My body transformed, and I turned into a lightning beast just his size. The students wondered in shock. What the hell is going on? Someone yelled. I looked away for a second, and suddenly there are two giant monsters in the ring. A student whispered in shock. That's no monster. That's Xu Jingming and Kieran. The two monsters have entered their second phase. Kieran looked at me in shock and said, You also have an S-rank combat technique. So I answered him coldly, You guessed right, but unfortunately for you there's no prize for that. Then I used my skill, Lightning Prison. I trapped him in a cage of thunderbolts. It was a crowd control technique. Kieran realized the danger immediately. He knew I'd use my S-rank skill, Sky Thunder. He had no choice but to risk everything. So he yelled, Blood and Energy Shield. A red aura enveloped his body to protect himself inside the prison. I formed a massive spear of pure lightning and launched it straight at him. Kieran muttered after seeing its power, What a terrifying lightning spear. If this attack hits, I'll be severely injured. I used my Lightning Storm Pierce skill. He didn't expect my lightning fast speed and realized he wouldn't be able to dodge the attack. Then I followed up my attack with the Lightning Spear Barrage skill. He had no choice but to take the hit head on. He thought that if he withstood this attack, he'd have a chance to win. He laughed triumphantly, thinking he held on, and said, Now it's my turn. But I whispered calmly, Explode. The lightning spears that pierced his body exploded from the inside, leaving charred holes all over his body. Then I swooped down on him to deliver the finishing blow. He muttered with difficulty, I surrender. The ref raised his hand announcing, The winner is Xu Jingming. My classmate yelled, That was absolutely terrifying. He completely crushed him. Another said, I thought it was going to be an evenly matched fight. I didn't expect it to be a one-sided massacre. I reverted to my normal form. My female friend approached me and said admiringly, You're so strong. So I answered her modestly, It's fine. Let's go. We have to celebrate. I'm paying for everything today. We took off in her luxury car to celebrate. A bystander recognized the car. That's the newest Mercedes. It accelerates to 100 kilometers in less than a second. And it costs over 20 million. What kind of rich person is driving it? And when my schoolmate stepped out of the car, everyone's jaws dropped in shock. What a stunning girl. Is that body real? Someone whispered to his friends, I bet. The driver is some bald old man. His friend agreed, since this sight is super common. But when I stepped out of the car, they were shocked and fled the scene immediately. She told me with a smile, Looks like going out with you makes things a whole lot easier. So I answered jokingly, What? Do you want me to be your bodyguard? My appearance fee isn't cheap. So she answered confidently, As long as you agree, how about I offer you all of myself? I got flustered and changed the subject. By the way, this car of your aunt's is really fun to drive. I muttered to myself, This rich girl is getting bolder with her flirting. She laughed, saying, A 20 million car. How could it not be fun to drive? Then we continued on our way to celebrate. Elsewhere, in an old mansion, the Heavenly Destiny sect was holding a meeting. They were chanting, The Heavenly God is immortal. The Archbishop asked one of his followers, Has everything been arranged at the farm site? So the follower answered, Yes, my lord. Everything is ready. The Archbishop showed total satisfaction with what he heard, and assigned them the task of dealing with the university teachers, issuing his explicit orders to eliminate as many of them as possible, and emphasizing that the most important mission would be going after the two S-ranks whose matter he left to him. And with a confident tone, the follower answered him that he sees no problem facing an S-rank, assuring that tomorrow he'll be in a position that allows him to get very close to them. Then the Archbishop burst into hysterical and crazy laughter, vowing that tomorrow they'll announce their resounding return to the world in the most brutal and bloody way. And following that, the followers' cheers rose with intense enthusiasm, declaring their return to the scene, while the Archbishop crushed an animal skull in his grip as a symbolic sign that destiny has already been decided. They were chanting enthusiastically, "The heavenly God is immortal." The next day, I went to the martial arts training hall, but I was surprised by what I saw. In the break room, there was a red-haired guy and two girls sitting on the couch. I couldn't believe my eyes. The pink-haired girl was my cousin, Tang Chi. I wondered to myself what she was doing here. She always went to the Violent Bear Hall, so why did she change places suddenly? She noticed me and looked at me. I greeted her saying, "Cousin, what a coincidence." So she asked me if I came to the Thunder Hall too. She replied that she came here with her friend. I understood the situation immediately. Suddenly her friend seemed very excited and asked my cousin about the identity of that handsome guy, pointing out that she hadn't seen me here before and confirming that he's very handsome. "Why don't you introduce us?" My cousin answered her coldly. "This is my cousin, Xu Jingming. He's a high school senior, and he'll participate in the martial arts exam tomorrow." Her friend squealed enthusiastically, "Awesome, a handsome and strong guy," and added, "As long as his strength isn't too weak, he'll be any girl's dream guy." Then she turned to me and said, "Hello, handsome. Can I get your phone number?" I felt flustered by her boldness, but my cousin told her I have an E-rank ability, so her excitement vanished instantly. My cousin commented that it's definitely not easy. The red-haired guy scoffed, saying, "Daring to enter the martial arts exam with an E-rank ability. Kids these days, ready to die for some fake glory." Then he put his hand on my shoulder and said, "Take my advice, buddy. The martial arts exam requires signing a life waiver. And with an E-rank ability, you'll just be a snack for the monsters. Your family struggled to raise you. Don't throw your life away for nothing." I ignored his words and told my cousin, "I'm leaving now. I'm heading to the training room." The guy commented mockingly, "This cousin of yours has nerves of steel, but unfortunately, facing the monsters, he'll be swallowed in one bite." My cousin answered him nonchalantly, "Leave him be." But she thought to herself that if he faces any danger in the exam, she should help him out a little. I entered the empty training room. I felt the power coursing through my veins. It was time to test my true strength. I threw a heavy punch at the measuring machine. The screen displayed a shocking number, 321. 321. This is just my body's physical strength, without using any of my superpowers. If this were in the past, I wouldn't have been able to cross 100 even if I gave it my all. My strength has more than tripled, but the real test begins now. And on exam day, we arrived at a military base in the desert. A soldier ordered us to get off the trucks quickly, so all the students hurried down. A female officer told us to keep quiet. Then a man appeared and introduced himself as the commander-in-chief of the exam, named Wang Haiyang. He said he wouldn't waste time on empty talk. "Since you're all standing here, you must be ready. This isn't a playground, it's a battlefield." He was an intimidating commander indeed. He explained to us that the exam site is an abandoned town, and it's divided into 4 zones. The outer green zone mostly houses unranked monsters, which is a zone suitable for most students. As for the middle yellow zone, it has low-tier first-grade monsters, and the core red zone is dominated by high-tier first-grade monsters. Finally, the dark red zone in the center. There's a second-grade monster guarding it, and this is the arena meant for true geniuses. Outer, middle, and core zones. Interesting. This sounds really fun. If I were in the past, I wouldn't have dared to fight anywhere but the outer zone. But now things are completely different. All these monsters are nothing but ability points to me. Nearby, a student saw a massive monster. So his buddy yelled, "Are you kidding me? This rhino is a first-grade monster. How did it show up in the outer zone?" The panicked student screamed, "I'm done for. Is this exam this hard? My power doesn't even cross 90. Then another student appeared and called them trash, and said mockingly, "So what?" This was Chu Mingyang, the guy with the B-rank ability, and he said if they couldn't handle this monster, then even if they entered the ability university by sheer luck, they'd be nothing but monster food on the battlefield. The girls were whispering that a warrior must fight for his chance at life, and Chu continued his mockery saying, "If you're scared of dying, go back to your mommies." The scared students recognized him. "He's the genius from Jiangcheng First High. I heard he awakened a B-rank ability called Swift Light Wind." The panicked student said, "He's a B-rank master. How can we even compare to him?" I whispered to myself, his dialogue is a bit childish, but he wasn't completely wrong. The path of martial arts demands competition, and cowardice has no place here. A girl scoffed at Chu. "Why is he acting so arrogant? It's just a B-rank talent, and he's already bragging about it. It would be fun if he freaked out later." The commander looked at his watch and announced the start of the martial arts exam and ordered the students to enter. Everyone dashed enthusiastically towards the gate. They were screaming that they'd do their absolute best for the Ability University and that they'd make a name for themselves. I grabbed my spear and said, "Let the hunting trip begin." Elsewhere, members of the Heavenly Destiny sect infiltrated the city. Their leader said, "The city's defenses aren't as strong as we expected. In fact, they were super weak." One of them explained that the spatial rift they opened can only hold up for 3 minutes, and doesn't allow fighters from level 2 and above to pass through. But he wasn't worried, since facing a bunch of students who haven't even finished their studies yet would be a total piece of cake. They all chanted, "Long live the heavenly god." The heavenly god was immortal. Their leader laughed mockingly and said these students who are called geniuses have consumed too many precious resources. Today, we'll make this generation of Jiangcheng City fighters go totally extinct. Then he cast his magic. Space lock. Red energy shot up from the ground to the sky, forming a massive dome over the city. He ordered his men, go and kill them all, and leave no one alive. Meanwhile, I had wiped out a group of monsters. The class president noticed and said I took down all the bladed tigers by myself. Her teammate wondered in shock, since these are first-grade monsters. So I answered them modestly that I just got lucky. And at that moment, my watch showed my rank hit 15th place. Suddenly, a black rift appeared in front of us. The class president screamed, "Look quick!" Xu Jingming's rank reached 15th place. Her teammate screamed in shock. He actually reached 15th place. A student fell to his knees in front of me and said, "Your power is absolutely terrifying. I was blind and didn't realize how strong you are. I offended you with my words. Please don't take it to heart, and don't hold a grudge against me." So I answered him coldly, "Get out of my way." So he bowed quickly and backed away. Suddenly my watch started blinking red. Someone wondered, "What's going on?" I lost the signal, and my classmate said his watch lost its signal too. In the middle, I was going to check the situation, but the class president stopped me and said, "Something's weird. The monsters' noises sound like they've gone crazy." At the command center, the monitors wondered what was going on. Why did the feed cut off suddenly? Someone yelled, "Tech team, turn on the backup lines." The commander ordered them to stay calm, but everyone was in a state of panic. Suddenly they saw a massive red dome covering the entire city. It was a true disaster. The commander yelled in shock, "Space lock!" Another added, "It's the Heavenly Destiny sect. These maniacs, these rats hiding in the dark, how dare they attack the exam students?" The commander said angrily, "They've gone insane. They're planning to destroy our city's future and wipe out the next generation of fighters." Then he issued his orders. "Summon all forces. Shatter this damn barrier." The armed forces charged towards the city. The commander yelled, "Don't stop. Go in and save the students." Meanwhile, the students were running for their lives. My cousin screamed, "Hurry, don't look back." One of the villains mocked them. "Hurry up, little rats. Hurry up or the game will end soon." A student tripped and fell to the ground. He screamed for help. "Save me." My cousin looked at him in despair, but she couldn't do anything. One of the villains approached him, and with a single strike, ended his life. The student dropped to the ground, dead. The villain smiled, enjoying the sight of blood, and said, "Gotcha." My cousin's friend was terrified, and fell to her knees in fear. The villain licked his victim's blood, and said, "The smell of fresh blood is irresistible." But his partner interrupted him. "Enough playing around. We have a mission to complete. Don't waste time on this trash, or the sect's mission will be delayed." He sighed in boredom. "Fine, you ruined my fun. Since that's the case, let's send them all to hell." The two swooped down on my cousin and her group. My cousin screamed, warning her friend, and blocked the attack with her swords. But right then, a lightning spear pierced the darkness and caused a massive explosion. The villain wondered in shock, "Who's there?" My cousin wondered, "This spear looks familiar." Her friend whispered, "It's the Heavenly Destiny sect." Then I appeared right in the middle of them, and said coldly, "A bunch of rats who never see the light. Dare to talk about destiny?" The red-haired guy called my name in shock. "How can it be him?" My cousin screamed, "Cousin!" I stood between them, ready to fight. The female villain asked me, "Who are you?" "The list of geniuses in this city doesn't have anyone like you." Her partner answered her, "It doesn't matter who he is. Kill him!" My cousin screamed, "Watch out!" I smiled confidently, and lunged at one of them. The villain muttered right before he died, "You," and just like that, I took out the first one. His partner screamed in anger, "You bastard! I'll tear you to pieces." Very well. I blocked his attack, and we engaged in a fierce battle. The class president noticed something weird. He's that guy who broke the measuring machine in the training hall. I unleashed a barrage of thunderbolts at my opponent, and he dropped to the ground, dead. My cousin's friend squealed enthusiastically, "You're so awesome! I want to have your babies." Chu Mingyang fell before me, after losing his fight battling for his life. He whispered with difficulty, "Hurry up and run." He's a fighter at the peak of level 2. 3 sect followers stood before him. I was surrounded by monsters, while my friends were surrounded too. The red-haired guy screamed, "There are so many monsters, and 3 sect followers. We're done for." The villain leader smiled and said, "Interesting. Your profile says you're just E-rank trash. I didn't expect you to surprise me like this, but your good luck ends here." My team was surrounded by monsters and villains, and my cousin's friend panicked. I unleashed my power with a smile. Surprise. Thick purple clouds flooded the sky. The villains wondered in shock. "What the hell is this?" I asked them mockingly, "Do you think there's a lot of you? Well, it's time to clean up this place." I yelled, "Thunder Judgment." I summoned a massive lightning dragon. A villain muttered in terror, "How is this possible?" Meanwhile, my teammates were fighting with all they had. I formed a spear out of pure lightning and launched it at the villain leader, and it pierced his body in a flash. My friends managed to take down one of the villains. Their leader smiled and said, "Very well. You've successfully provoked me. You'll all die." He pulled out a vial containing a red liquid. This was a gift meant for A-rank geniuses, but I'll let you taste the power of God's blood. He chugged the liquid all at once and started muttering, "Destiny is inevitable, and the heavenly God is immortal." A massive energy exploded from his body and blew everyone back. I stood firm against the blast. His power had reached the peak of level 2. He lunged at me with lightning speed. I muttered to myself, "He's so fast." We engaged in a violent battle. He screamed crazily, "Kid, die." I muttered angrily, "Damn, I forgot about this." His weapon pierced my shoulder, but I kicked him hard and pushed him away. He said as he licked my blood, "I'll tear you to pieces bit by bit." I unleashed all my power. He mocked me saying, "Are you going to use the same trick again? It's useless." So I answered him defiantly, "Are you sure? Then take a look at this. And what do you think of this move?" He muttered in shock. "This is..." A giant purple dragon appeared in the sky. After the battle ended, I went back to my normal life at the university. My classmate called out to me, "Haven't seen you in a while. When did you get back?" I answered her, "I got back yesterday." She asked me seriously, "Hey Shu, do you have some time right now? Can you spar with me?" I asked her in surprise, "Are you sure? I've reached the peak of level 2, and me facing you while you're at the peak of level 1 would be like bullying." So she answered angrily, "What? I'm also the first in my province, so don't underestimate me." An S-rank ability appeared for the first time in years. Let me test its true power. Even if you're a whole level above me, will you be able to beat me? We headed to the training room, and I told her, "You won't be able to beat me without using a weapon." So she answered confidently, "A weapon? Of course I have one." She summoned a massive spear out of thin air. I muttered in shock. "The Fangtian spear," she said enthusiastically. "Let's begin. I'm gonna totally crush you." "So what if your ability is S-rank? I'm a whole level above you. Let's see how you win." I reached level 2. "So you broke through the level. No wonder you're so confident." But I wasn't just sitting around either. "I've reached the peak of level 2. She screamed in shock. "How is this possible?" So I asked her with a smile, "What now? Do you still want to continue?" So she answered stubbornly, "Of course. But you can't use all your power." So I assured her, "Don't worry. I won't attack first. You can attack with everything you've got." My classmate attacked me with her spear style. I blocked her strike called Flaming Gravity Strike, but I noticed her power was still a bit weak. Then she used her skill Shining Wind Strike, but I dodged it easily. I told her speed was way too slow. Also, her power wasn't enough, and she still has a lot to learn. She admitted the gap between us was way too big. She asked me if my skill was beyond the advanced level. I smiled and told her she guessed right. I had already reached the Spearmaster level. She gave up, saying she couldn't beat me. Then she said with a smile that what happened was supposed to be just a friendly spar. But really, I was a sparring partner for her. Then she suggested an idea to me. She offered to treat me to a meal, to make up for my time. So I agreed right away. And the next day, the freshman competition started at the university. The students were whispering among themselves, asking each other if they heard the latest news. They were talking about the freshman class. A rumor spread about a freshman with an S-rank ability. They weren't sure if the news was true, but it seems the rumor was real. And I heard that Yang the King of Hell took him in as his disciple. In the stands, a girl was calling her friend Zhuan Xuan, surprised by her interest in the freshman competition, since she thought her friend didn't like these kinds of competitions. Xuan Xuan answered her that she came just to make sure of one thing. My classmate and I walked towards the battlefield. I was shocked by the massive size of the arena. The university's vast space shouldn't be used like this. My classmate told me she heard from our teacher before that the first phase of the freshman competition is a battle royale with 100 students participating, and so the arena has to be big enough to fit everyone. I closed my eyes, getting ready for the upcoming battle. Suddenly, a dark spatial rift opened in the sky, and Vice Principal Ling Shuang, a level 8, stepped out of it. Her ability was a spatial type, and she's one of the 3 vice principals of Modu University. I couldn't believe she looks this young. The vice principal stood before us and announced, "The start of the freshman competition right now," explaining that the first phase will be a battle royale between 100 students, and that the competition will consist of 10 rounds. Then the process of selecting students participating in the first round began. A ball of light shot beams to select the competitors, and 100 students were chosen to participate in the first battle. My classmate noticed that the arrogant student from Qinghai province, named Li Chengqi, was selected to participate in the first round. Li Chengqi looked overly confident. I looked at this annoying kid. My classmate mocked him, calling him reckless and clueless about the consequences. The protective barrier closed around the arena in prep for the battle. and the battle between the students started right away. Lee Chung-ki stood in the middle, surrounded by opponents. Then he unleashed his ability, turning into a massive fiery lion, and started taking out his opponents with total ease. His friends cheered his name, encouraging him to keep fighting, and in moments, all his opponents dropped around him, and he reverted to his normal form victorious. He defeated 36 opponents in this round. Then he called my name, Xu Jingming, and said that as an S-rank ability user, he wonders if I'd be able to beat his score, and told me he hopes I won't disappoint him. Then he turned around and walked away with full confidence. I whispered to myself that he'll know the truth soon enough. The system announced the end of the first round of the first phase, then started drawing names of participants for the second round. A beam of light enveloped me, announcing my selection. My classmate called my name, and said my turn had finally come, and asked me to show that arrogant guy my true power. I nodded in agreement. In the stands, Xuan said that she knew I'd be fine. My classmate smirked, saying Lee Chung-ki wouldn't be able to beat me, since he was way too naive. I entered the ring and unleashed my lightning, surrounding all my opponents. A student fell to his knees in a state of shock. No one dared to step up and attack me, so I told them, let me start then. I lunged at my first opponent with a direct hit, and he dropped to the ground, soaked in his blood. The students in the stands screamed at the terrifying sight. They were shocked by my speed and power. My opponents all moved towards me at the same time, but I smiled confidently as I dashed towards them. I blocked a massive hammer with total ease, then knocked its owner away with a light tap. My next opponent's slicing technique was flawed, and the other one was way too slow. As for this one, he lacked power. I blocked the attack of two opponents at the same time. Their level was super weak. They were much weaker than I expected, and with one spinning move, I wiped them all out. And in moments, all my opponents dropped around me. The system announced the end of the second round of the first phase, and my name popped up on the screen, announcing I qualified. I wiped out 102 opponents. A student cheered that this was a crushing victory. Yeah, it was total domination. No one in the stands could believe that only one person qualified from this round. I managed to clear the entire arena all by myself, breaking the competition's record in the process. I left the ring while everyone's eyes followed me. I saw Lee Chung-ki staring at me. He was shaking with fear. Then he collapsed to the ground. I winked at him with a victorious smile. And in the next round, my classmate Song Chu-yun unleashed her powerful attack and wiped out her opponents with the flaming gravity strike skill. And an hour later, the first phase of the competition ended. The final results popped up on the screen, and I took first place. Then the vice principal announced the start of the free challenge phase, where any student could challenge any other student, and ordered us to start our challenges. Lee Chung-ki felt angry and frustrated, realizing the power gap between us was massive, so he decided to challenge the second-place winner, Song Chu-yun. He was about to say her name, but I interrupted him and announced I'd challenge the third-place winner, Lee Chung-ki. We stood face-to-face on the battlefield. He yelled in my face angrily, "You're the first-place winner, so why are you challenging me, the third-place winner?" I calmly answered him that the vice principal didn't forbid it. The rules didn't say the first-place winner can't challenge the third-place winner. Then I added with a sharp tone, "Do you really think I'm someone you can provoke and walk away unharmed?" The students in the stands wondered what was going on. Was there a beef between us? The red-haired guy answered them that they didn't know the whole story, because in the first phase of the competition, Lee Chung-ki provoked me and pointed at me with a gesture implying he'd cut my throat. A student commented that his behavior was reckless, and he deserves what's coming to him. Lee Chung-ki yelled angrily, "All right then, let me see the power of an S-rank ability user like you. How far does it go?" Then he unleashed his ability, screaming, "You forced me into this," and turned into a giant fiery lion form. He launched his attack, Rampaging Lion Strike, and lunged at me with all his might, but I blocked his attack easily and told him his arrogance is the reason this is happening to him. The force of the clash blew him back. He couldn't believe my power exceeded his. He whispered to himself, "I specialize in enhancement abilities." Then I told him, "It's over," and unleashed my divine purple thunderstrike skill. The thunderbolts trapped him in a cage of lightning. The students were stunned by the power of my attack. He dropped to the ground screaming in pain. The system announced my win in the match. My classmate smiled as she looked at my defeated opponent, then announced she also wanted to challenge the third-place winner, Lee Chung-ki. Lee Chung-ki was still lying on the ground. He muttered with difficulty, "I survived." My classmate called his name, then jumped into the ring saying she's challenging the third-place winner too. He looked at her in shock. "You're challenging me too?" He screamed in despair. "What did I do wrong? I only provoked Xu Jingming. So how did I piss you off too, you great goddess?" The students whispered that there was definitely something fishy going on. A student in the stands was screaming in anger, "Oh my god!" He was about to grind his teeth from sheer rage. I looked at the ring and saw that Lee Chung-ki hadn't recovered yet, so I called out to my classmate, advising her to hold back. She answered me with a confident smile that she knows her limits very well. I looked at Lee Chung-ki trapped inside the protective barrier. So he screamed in our faces asking if we were taking turns on him in a relay race. My classmate told him she'd face him in an hour, and he could go get treated in the meantime. He got up, muttering that his level is the lower second too, and that when he regains his strength, the winner wasn't decided yet. Then he accepted her challenge an hour from now, and an hour later, he returned to the ring screaming her name in challenge. But he fell to the ground defeated again. My classmate in the stands commented that Lee Chung-ki was pathetic, since after I shocked him, he got severely beaten and seriously injured. Another student wondered why my classmate and I didn't face each other. A showdown between the first and second place winners would definitely be more exciting. His friend answered him mockingly that he's never seen two lovers fight to the death before, then added, "Do you really think Song Chu-yun can beat Xu Jingming? That monster." His friend understood the situation immediately, and another student commented that what happened was like a tag team match. It was a harsh lesson for Lee Chung-ki. After the competition, we were walking on our way. Suddenly, Jiang Chuxuan appeared before me, saying she hadn't seen me in a long time, and called me junior. So I returned the greeting respectfully. My other classmate asked me about her, so I told her I met her in the Yuan Shui wasteland, and called her Senior Jiang Chuxuan. My roommate screamed in shock, "Goddess Jiang Chuxuan," and wondered where her cold persona went, since she was known for being super cold, and how she's smiling at me so tenderly. He whispered to himself that I was truly awesome, because others go to the wastelands to risk their lives, while I go to meet beautiful girls. He wondered where the justice in this world is. Jiang Chuxuan introduced herself as a sophomore in the School of Elements. My classmate welcomed her. Then they both looked at each other with sparks flying from their eyes. I told her we were on our way to get food, and asked her if she wanted to join us. She happily agreed, saying she was hungry too. We all sat down at the dinner table, and raised our glasses in celebration. My classmate asked Jiang Chuxuan if she could tell us how she met me in the wastelands. My roommate looked at her with intense curiosity, so she answered him that at that time. She went with her escort team to film some footage, but she got separated from them and faced a level 3 Earth Dragon, and said that's the story in short. I saved her 3 times. My roommate was shocked and sweating. Even my classmate couldn't believe what she heard about the elite team hunting for treasure, and the endless swarms of rats. They realized how dangerous the wastelands were. My roommate started imagining our heroic story, and how we faced death together, and with all these exciting events, it was natural for her to fall in love with me. But he realized that Song Chio-yun had a crush on me too, and that they're both sitting at the same table now. This was a real love triangle, and the next day, our study trip began. A teacher welcomed us, and the students returned the greeting. He explained to us that the competition for this trip will depend on the level of the monsters we kill, their number, and their type, to determine the final ranking, and the higher our rank, the better the rewards. As for the top 3 winners, they can choose from the combat skill libraries of the 3 universities, which contain skills of all types, and they can choose any skill to learn. The students cheered enthusiastically. Choosing any combat skill. A student wondered if they could choose an S-rank skill. Her friend mocked her, saying she's dreaming, but he added that getting an A-rank skill would be a huge achievement. The teacher added, there's an extra reward from Madu Ability University. They'll give the student who takes first place in the overall ranking a reward of 10,000 school points. Kieran whispered mockingly, 10,000 points. What a pity, you won't be able to get it. As for Song Chu-yun, she'll be mine. We all set off towards the wasteland gate, and my classmate and I walked side by side. Kieran was watching us from afar mockingly, commenting that I'm bringing a girl with me, and she'll be a burden to me, and wondered how I'd be able to get first place. We entered a strange cave, then moved to a dense forest, and summoned our weapons in prep for battle. A level 2 armored bone-eater monster appeared before us. My classmate told me it's an armored bone-eater monster, and its fur has incredibly strong defense. Also, its attack is super strong. A whole group of these monsters appeared before us. I told her I'd handle them, and lunged at them quickly. The monsters turned into armored balls, and rolled towards me at incredible speed. My classmate agreed to my request, and told me to be careful, and with swift and precise strikes, I took down the monsters, one after another, piercing their armor with a single strike to the eye. Their weak points were completely hidden while rolling, and it was hard to target their heads. But for me, every stab was enough to end their lives, and in moments, I took out 12 level 2 monsters. I got 276 ability points, and 1,200 points in the competition. This wasn't bad at all. Then I faced a group of level 2 wind wolves, and lunged at them with a dual spear skill, while my classmate fought with all her might, and plunged her spear into a wolf's mouth. Then I faced another group of monsters, and took them out with lightning strikes. Suddenly, a giant level 3 black bear appeared before me. I unleashed my power, and took it out with a single strike to the mouth. Then I faced a group of level 2 poisonous fang snakes, and my classmate braced herself to face them. but I unleashed my lightning and took them all out with a single shock. I noticed there was a water pool nearby. It was a water source, which is a place monsters usually gather at. I whispered to myself that it's the right time for a fresh harvest. We reached the pool at sunset, but I felt something weird. The area around the water source was suspiciously quiet. Suddenly, a huge tiger appeared to drink from the pool, but it suffered a surprise attack of ice arrows and dropped to the ground severely injured. Then a giant level 4 crocodile emerged from the water and lunged at the tiger to devour it. I got it now. This place was the giant water crocodile's lair. My classmate whispered in shock that it's a level 4 monster. She didn't expect a monster of this level to be in the outer zone of the cave. She called my name and asked me to run away fast, but I smiled calmly and told her not to worry, because even though level 4 monsters are strong, it's not impossible to defeat them. She asked me in amazement, "Are you planning to hunt this crocodile?" and wondered if I was going to use that special combat skill Dean Yang taught me. So I answered her that my teacher's skill is good indeed, but it's not enough to face a level 4 monster. She looked at me in confusion, wondering if not that skill. Then I unleashed my lightning, getting ready for battle. I unleashed the power of lightning in the sky. The giant crocodile looked up at the sky in confusion. My classmate noticed the sky was about to rain, but she found it weird there were no dark clouds. I called out the name of my destructive skill, Sky Thunder. A massive thunderbolt struck the crocodile directly. After the battle, a strange portal appeared in the sky. The monster dropped to the ground, a lifeless corpse. My system showed I took out a level 4 monster and got 213 points. I muttered to myself, 213 points. Not bad at all. But I realized this skill drains a lot of my energy, and I can't spam it. And even though I'm only at the advanced 2nd level, I managed to take out a monster 2 whole levels above me. It was a lower level 4 monster. My classmate realized my true power. I told her I was going to check on something, and inspected the pool to see if there were other monsters. Suddenly the pool water turned blood red. I couldn't believe what I was seeing and wondered what was happening. I felt a weird pulling force. It was an instinctual urge from my body. I wondered if this water was a rare treasure. My classmate asked me what happened. She was surprised the water turned red. I told her I used lightning to clean the pool, and this was the result. I called out my classmate Chu Yun by name and started asking her, "Can you feel anything towards this water? Do you feel it pulling you?" So she asked in surprise, "Pulling me?" Then answered no, but she leaned in to inspect the water and said her ability senses something in this bloody water. There's a strong aura of some monster, and she added that this aura is similar to the aura on my body. Yeah, it's similar. I was surprised by her words. Similar to my aura? Could it be that this is another dragon's blood? That's why my body is reacting to it. I turned to Chu Yun and told her I'd go in to test it, and asked her that if anything went wrong, to pull me out immediately. Then I stepped into the bloody pool. Suddenly the water surrounded me and wrapped around me, and formed a giant cocoon around me. My classmate called my name in worry. She looked at the cocoon thinking, looks like he found a rare opportunity, and realized that I can't move right now. So she decided that until I come out, she'll protect me, and stood guarding me bravely. Luckily, the strongest monster last night was just a lower level 3 monster. The cocoon started pulsating, and I realized I was almost done. Suddenly, the Heavenly Destiny sect followers showed up. Their leader looked at the place seriously, and recognized the liquid in the pool saying, "God's blood," but wondered how it turned out like this. As he was thinking about it, one of his men pointed at my classmate and said she's the 2nd place winner at Modu University. So the leader wondered why she was here. My classmate warned them saying there are no monsters here, and that the water source is polluted, and advised them that if they want water, they should go somewhere else. One of them got angry and said this is the blood of the Supreme God, and yelled at her how dare she call it polluted. But the leader ordered them to ignore her, and ordered them to take the cocoon behind her. So they all answered yes, then drew their weapons and advanced, and surrounded my classmate and the cocoon. My classmate realized the situation was bad, that they came for me. These guys were too strong for her to face, but she decided to fight with all she had. My classmate activated an ancient relic necklace. It formed a protective shield around us that blocked the enemy's attack. One of them tried to break through the shield, but the force of his attack bounced back. He wondered in shock about the nature of this shield, and dropped to the ground, defeated by a single hit. Their leader realized this shield is a protection spell from an ancient civilization. It was a priceless treasure. He didn't expect my classmate to have such a precious treasure. My classmate warned them to leave now that they knew what the shield was, and told them not to waste any more time, and to leave immediately. But their leader told her he knows that this shield has a time limit, and that he'll wait until its effect wears off, so there's no need to rush. My classmate told him to wait as they please, but she was worried on the inside, because this protective shield won't last for more than an hour, and after that it'll collapse and shatter. And even though she has a spatial teleportation stone, she can't take my cocoon with her. I was in real trouble. She called my name in worry, and hoped I'd wake up as soon as possible. As time passed, the shield started cracking. The leader said he was right. The protective shield has a time limit. Then he addressed my classmate with a threat and advised her to be smart and hand over the protective shield. Otherwise, he guarantees her a gruesome death. My classmate pulled out a stimulant pill as a last resort and swallowed it to prep for battle. But right then, they heard my voice from inside the cocoon. I asked mockingly if that was true, because I feel the ones who are going to die today are you. The cocoon shattered and I emerged in a new form. My transformation was fully complete, and lightning power flowed around me. Their leader wondered in shock what kind of monster I am. He recognized me. I'm Xu Jingming, one of their sect's biggest targets. He wondered how I could be here, and how my aura became this terrifyingly strong. He yelled at his men not to just stand there, and ordered them to kill us immediately. So they charged at us with all their might. But I summoned my lightning prison skill, and rained a barrage of thunderbolts on them, and wiped them all out in an instant. Their leader couldn't believe that in one moment. I managed to wipe out 5 level 3 fighters. They were turned to ashes before me. He realized the situation wasn't in his favor. He's at the lower level 4, and I'm at the advanced level 2. But he thought he had a chance to win. So I attacked him with my lightning-charged spear, and my attack caused a massive explosion. He dropped to the ground, soaked in his blood. I stood before him and said, I ask, and you answer. What is this bloody water in the pool? He muttered with difficulty. It's divine blood. I asked him, what divine blood? He answered, the blood of a level 9 monster. It's the blood of the monster emperor. I was shocked by this info and wondered how it got here, but he was breathing his last breaths. He told me that in ancient times, a human saint fought the monster emperor, and during the battle, the emperor's blood splattered everywhere. I asked him my last question. How can I absorb this blood? He looked at me with contempt and said I want to absorb God's blood, and decided to die refusing to answer. I wondered to myself if this was the heavenly destiny sect's doing. Then I finished him off with lightning strikes. My classmate called my name. I reassured her that I was fine. I was thinking about what just happened. I thanked my classmate for her patience and effort. I told her those villains are heavenly destiny sect followers, and they came here to collect the monster emperor's blood. My classmate couldn't believe her ears, and repeated in shock that it's the blood of a level 9 monster emperor. Then she asked me worriedly if I was okay. I didn't know why I was able to absorb it directly, but I opened my system panel to see the changes. I noticed my body had gotten much stronger, and there seemed to be no damage. Then I told my classmate to rest a bit. She wondered where she could rest, and suggested we look for a cave to rest in. But I told her to sleep here, and asked her not to worry, because I'm here to protect her, and no monster will be able to bother her. I stood guarding her and unleashed my lightning, and cleared all the monster remains and corpses with my lightning. The pool returned to normal, so she agreed to my suggestion, and slept peacefully on the grass. I sat meditating while guarding her. Then I prepped some food. My classmate woke up the next morning, and I offered her some grilled meat. She didn't expect it to taste good, and said I'm a skilled cook, so I answered her that practice makes perfect, and told her that after this trip is over, she'll also be able to grill meat skillfully. She kept eating happily, and said the food was super delicious. Then she called my name, and suggested I open a BBQ restaurant, so I agreed to her idea. But after we wipe out all the monsters in the world, I'll open a restaurant and live in peace. My classmate agreed to the plan, and offered to invest in my project. She was hyped about the idea. The daughter of the Song family is going to invest in my restaurant. With this, I'll open branches all over the world. My classmate suddenly called me, and before we leave this place, she asked me to let her take a bath. So I agreed to her request, of course. It won't take long, and I told her that after she's done, I'll also clean myself up. So she happily agreed, and went to bathe first. She stepped into the pool slowly, and started bathing, and after some time passed, she stepped out of the water in new clothes. I couldn't hide my fluster when I saw her. Then I told her it's my turn to bathe, but she noticed something weird. My gaze towards her just now was a bit weird. Then she realized something. Her clothes were super see-through after getting wet, and after I finished, I got out of the pool and looked at my watch and said, let's go, it's time to leave. We reached a crossroads, and I told her we'd part ways here, but she offered me her protective necklace, so I refused to take it, because this is her life-saving treasure. She called my name worriedly, but I bid her farewell saying, see you in a month. She looked at me with determination, and decided to train hard too, because even if she couldn't get first place, she has to get at least third place. And a month passed. I was training in a cave. A black panther at the peak of level 3 approached me, and lunged at me with all its might, but I calmly opened my eyes, and controlled my spear remotely to pierce its body. Then it caused a massive explosion that wiped it out. My system showed I got 43 extra points. I finally mastered the Immortal Thunder Body technique, and the next step is to reach level 3. Since my previous attempts to reach this level had failed, I whispered to myself that this time I'll see if I can break through this level on my own. I unleashed all my energy and yelled, break! Purple lightning flooded the entire cave, and finally, I managed to break through the level. From advanced level 2 to level 3, geniuses need half a year to reach this level. but it only took me 3 months. The system panel showed I reached lower level 3, and my physical strength crossed 2,000, my spiritual strength 1,500, and my ability points approached 50,000. My strength crossed the 2,000 barrier, and I got much stronger. But I noticed something weird, because even though my ability points approached 50,000, my core ability hasn't upgraded yet. I wondered if something was wrong, but decided to ignore it for now, because it was time to head back to the base. My point screen showed I got over 400,000 points. And with this score, I'll easily secure first place. In the assembly hall, the students were waiting for the results. My classmate got 1,200 points and ranked 1,023rd. He was super close to breaking into the top 1,000, but his friend told him not to dream too much, because today is the day the strong return, and his rank will drop even more. Suddenly, my classmate Song Chu-yun showed up. She was the second place winner among the freshmen, and stepped up to register her points. The screen showed she got 12,000 points and took first place. Everyone was shocked by this score. 12,000 points. She was super strong. Then Kieran from Qingjing University showed up, and everyone thought he'd take first place. Since he's a level 3 S-rank fighter, and his points should be at least 50,000, he stepped up to register his points. The screen showed he got 113,000 points and took first place. Everyone was shocked by this massive score. They couldn't believe what they saw, and wondered how they could compete with him. The competition was impossible. The principal of Qingjing University celebrated his students' win, and everyone congratulated him on this achievement. It was a crushing victory, but Principal Ling was waiting for me, hoping I'd pull off a surprise. The students wondered about me. Could it be I didn't make it back? The Demon's Cave was an extremely dangerous place, but my classmate was worried. As for Kieran, he wished I wouldn't come back, because the death of an S-rank genius from the Xia country is great news for his country, India. Suddenly my classmate yelled that I had returned, and I walked into the hall with full confidence. The students cheered my name enthusiastically. Regardless of my score, I'm the pride of their university. Yeah, I'm the best. But I was surprised by their reaction. I haven't even registered my points yet. So how did they already judge me as a loser? Kieran looked at me mockingly, and called us weaklings who flocked together. Principal Ling noticed I reached level 3. She was shocked by my rapid progress, and told me she was waiting for me, and asked me to register my points quickly, so I agreed, and stepped towards the registration machine. The screen showed I got 405,000 points and took first place. Everyone was shocked by this amazing result. I stood among them with total pride.